Chapter 281. Longao's expression changed when he heard the laughter. Before Longao could leave with Long Jing, the figure of the evil demon had already appeared. "Kid, we meet again. Seems like we're really fated." "Fated my ass. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Get lost." Longao didn't give in at all because he knew that the more cowardly he acted, the more the demon would look down on him. "Ha ha ha, what an arrogant kid. You're to my liking. Kid, I've decided not to kill you now, but you have to agree to 2 of my conditions." Longao didn't say anything because he didn't know what the other party's conditions were. However, as long as it wasn't too much, Longao was prepared to agree. After all, it wasn't a good thing to be chased by such a powerful expert. Now that the lightning and thunder had disappeared, who knew how long it would take to wait for the next one? "Kid, the first condition is to hand over the dragon seal and the 9 netherworld tiger. The second condition is to be my disciple." "Impossible. Don't even think about it." Longao didn't even think about it and rejected directly. This was because he would not agree to any of the 2 conditions given by the demon, especially the second one, which was to take the demon as his master. That was even more impossible. "Mph, I'll make you agree." With that, the demon suddenly turned into a stream of light and left Huoteng's body, entering Longjing's body. Longao was shocked. He never thought that the evil demon would do such a thing. Before he could react, the aura on Longjing's body changed completely. It was cold and evil. "Hehe, kid, I'd like to see if you agree or not. 2 souls coexisting." Longao had heard of this situation before, but he had never seen anyone who could do it with his own eyes. "Kid, I have something to do now. I'll come find you later. I hope you'll consider it carefully. Otherwise, this little girl will be doomed." "Hee hee." With a sinister laugh, the demon's figure disappeared without a trace. At this moment, Longao's expression was simply unsightly to the extreme. He indeed did not think that the evil demon would do this to him. In the dragon seal space. "Long Fu, will the evil spirit's soul cause any harm to Long Jing after entering her body?" Although Long Jing had been shouting at him, Longao only knew one thing, and that was that nothing must happen to Long Jing. Otherwise, he would not be able to answer to Long Potian. "Master, the evil demon's soul has entered Long Jing's body. Long Jing's soul will definitely be damaged, but it also depends on the evil demon's intentions. 2 souls coexist together. If one is careless, both sides will suffer. Does that mean that the evil spirit's soul can enter anyone's body? If this was really the case, then it would be too terrifying." Longao didn't dare to imagine what would happen if the evil spirit's soul entered his body and coexisted with his soul. "Master, I wouldn't dare." "Why is that?" It's very simple. Although the evil spirit's soul is powerful, you still have to be careful. Once you suffer from the other party's soul counterattack or soul attack, the only one who will suffer is yourself. That's why the evil spirit doesn't dare to enter your body. So that's why. Long Fu's meaning was very simple. That is, if an evil spirit wanted to seize another person's soul and achieve the symbiosis of 2 souls, they would have to be very careful. For example, he knew how to use soul attacks. If an evil spirit really wanted to enter his body, it would most likely go for wool and come home shorn. "Long Fu, is there any way to let the evil spirit's soul leave Long Jing's body?" This was Longao's main concern. He couldn't imagine what would happen if the evil spirit's soul stayed in Long Jing's body. "Master, there are only 2 ways to let the evil spirit's soul leave Long Jing's body. The first way is to forcefully disperse the evil spirit's soul." He didn't even dare to think about it. Longao knew that forcefully disperse the evil spirit's soul was impossible. After all, the evil spirit's strength was obvious. "Long Fu, the second way. The second way is to take a risk. As long as we can use the lightning strike again, I believe we can definitely disperse the evil spirit's soul." Longao's face sank. He certainly knew what Long Fu's second method was. He shook his head. Longao wasn't prepared to use either of the 2 methods, especially the second one. Although there was a great chance to disperse the evil spirit's soul, Long Jing was also in danger. Once she was caught in the crossfire, the consequences would be unimaginable. Long Fu, is there no other way? No, unless the evil spirit is willing to leave. F***ck. He cursed in his heart. In the end, it was impossible to make the evil spirit's soul leave Longjing's body. Did he have to give up like this? Long Fu, I want to know, what is the strength of the evil spirit? Is it a world emperor? The 8 realms of nothingness, from lowest to highest, were the disaster realm, venerable realm, supreme realm, earth realm, empyrean realm, great realm, world king realm, and world emperor realm. In other words, world emperors stood at the pinnacle of nothingness. Master, the evil spirit's strength is much stronger than you think. However, with your current strength, it's better if you don't know. Master, there is only one thing you need to do now, and that is to cultivate diligently. When your cultivation breaks through to the world emperor realm, I will tell you everything. His heart skipped a beat. Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he could understand the meaning behind Long Fu's words. Could it be that the world emperor wasn't the strongest existence? Although Long Fu's words were very obscure, Longao could still hear it. Could it be that there was an even more powerful existence above the world emperor? His heart was shocked to the extreme. It seemed that he was still a frog at the bottom of the well. The road he had to walk was very long. World Emperor. Longao helplessly shook his head, his heart filled with emotion. From Long Fu's words, Longao knew that the evil spirit's strength was definitely above the World Emperor realm. It was hard to imagine what kind of existence the evil spirit's true body was. Such a terrifying powerhouse, it wouldn't be easy for him to deal with. Master, there is something I want to remind you of. Speak. Ji Jiao was surprised because this was the first time he saw Long Fu's face so serious. Could something have happened? Master, the evil spirit is too evil. He kills constantly. If you take him as your master, I'm afraid you will also become a devil of slaughter in the future. At that time, I will have no choice but to leave with the dragon seal. So, I hope Master won't accept the evil spirit and become his disciple. So it was about this. Longao helplessly said, Long Fu, rest assured. Unless I die, I will not take the evil spirit as my master. However, the most important thing now is to settle the matter of the dual soul symbiosis as soon as possible. Chapter 282. Longao did not intend to keep Longjing's matter a secret. That was why Longao did not return to Tianju. Instead, he headed for Crimson Dragon City. Crimson Dragon City, outside the Long family. Longao, I've already made it clear to you. Crimson Dragon City does not welcome you, and neither does the Long family. I hope you can leave. Looking at Longao who left and returned, Long Biyu's expression was gloomy to the extreme. If it weren't for Heaven Breaker, Long Biyu would have attacked long ago. However, his rationality suppressed his impulsiveness in the end. I want to see Long Potian. I have something important to tell him. Mph, Longao, I know what you're trying to do. You're from a small family, and you want to soar to the top. However, you've chosen the wrong person. Do you understand? Longao chose to ignore Long Biyu's mockery. No matter what, Long Biyu was Long Potion's father. Moreover, the most important thing now was Long Jing, not making enemies. I've already said that I have to talk to Brother Potian face to face. Long Biyu's face was filled with disgust and mockery. He said coldly, Longao, do you have any shame? I've already said that if you want your family to be strong, you have to rely on yourself, not on your friends. So that's how it is. Longao now finally understood what Long Biyu meant by that. Long Potian had promised him that when he returned to his family, he would send 2 sovereigns to his family. However, Long Potian was not the leader of the Long family, and everything had to be decided by Long Biyu. As such, things became quite simple. Long Biyu must have thought that he wanted to use Long Potion's power to develop his family's power. Without a doubt, Longao did not blame Long Biyu. After all, no matter who it was, they would probably think the same and put themselves in his shoes. Longao, I've already made it clear. If you have anything to say, tell me. Otherwise, please leave immediately. I've already let go of Jing Er's matter for Potion's sake. Don't push your luck. Long Bu did not want to continue talking, so he turned around and returned to the Long family. Standing quietly in front of the Long family's gate, Longao originally wanted to force his way in, but in the end, he held himself back. For the sake of his friends, he could not become enemies with the Long family. Back then, it wasn't Longao who wanted to destroy the Nebula royal family. It was Ouyang Fei who was at fault first. If he hadn't rushed back to the clan in time, it was hard to imagine what would have happened to the clan. But no matter what, Longao didn't kill them all in the end. Everything was because of the friendship they once had. Longao was completely devoted to his friends. It could be said that Longao was an affectionate and righteous person. Longao took a deep look at the Long family in front of him and finally chose to leave. At the entrance of the Long family's house, the two guards looked at the departing silhouette. They snorted coldly and cursed, "Bah, who do you think you are? Relying on the fact that you are young Master Long's friend, you are actually so shameless. You actually want to climb the social ladder. Sigh, I don't know what's wrong with young people these days. Instead of working hard, they are always thinking of crooked ways." Although they were far away, Longao heard it clearly. He didn't feel angry at all. Just like that, Longao left the Long family's house, but he didn't leave the Crimson Dragon City. In a luxurious restaurant, by the window, Longao sat alone, thinking about all kinds of things in his mind. Without a doubt, all of them were about Long Jing and the evil spirit, the symbiosis of two souls. According to the two methods mentioned by Long Fu, Longao knew very well that no matter which one he chose, it wouldn't be the best choice. Especially the second choice, it was even more dangerous. If he was in danger, then so be it. The problem was that if he chose to be struck by lightning, Long Jing might very well disappear together with the evil spirit. What should he do? Longao was very confident that the evil spirit would come looking for him soon. So, there was no need to think about how to find the evil spirit and Long Jing. Look, isn't that the Longao who killed An Zun and An Hao? Yes, that's right, it's him. Damn, I admire him. He even dared to kill the An family's father and son, and he even dared to appear here. He's too awesome. Why don't we go over and make friends? Forget it. What kind of person is he, and what kind of thing are you? F***ck, you still want to be friends with him? Why don't you see if you're worthy? Hearing the discussion from not far away, Longao didn't care. The An family was no threat to him now. After all, even the An family's ancestor, An Feng, was struck to death by lightning. Who else in the An family would dare to stand out? At this moment, Longao suddenly received a piece of news that was like a bolt from the blue. Tianju was in chaos, and the 6 major sects were at war. There were 6 major sects in Tianju. They were the Ghost King clan, Blood Sea clan, Wind Thunder clan, Golden Sun clan, Flame clan, and Thunder clan. All these years, the 6 major sects have been fighting both openly and secretly. However, there wasn't much friction between them and they never fought to the death. But now, based on the news, the 6 major sects in Tianju were divided into 2 factions. The first faction was led by the Ghost King clan, with the Golden Sun clan and the Thunder clan as support. The other faction was the remaining 3 sects, led by the Blood Sea clan, with the Flame clan and the Wind Thunder clan as support. Hearing this news, Longao was shocked. Everyone knew that out of the 6 major sects, the Flame clan and the Sound of Thunder clan were the most powerful. But now, the leaders of the 2 factions weren't the Flame clan and the Thunder clan, but the Blood Sea clan and the Ghost King clan. In other words, the war between the 6 major sects would directly affect the future of Tianju. The news of the war between the 6 major sects in Tianju spread across the 9 continents. The other 8 continents were looking forward to this war. No matter who won, Tianju would be greatly damaged. When that happens, it wouldn't be a problem for the other 8 continents to move into Tianju. Longao felt helpless against the 6 major sects. Because out of the 6 major sects, other than the Wind Thunder clan and the Sound of Thunder clan, he seemed to have conflicts with the other 4 major sects. Especially with the Golden Sun clan, he had a life and death feud. Since it didn't concern him, he didn't care. Originally, the war between the 6 major sects had nothing to do with him. However, when Longao heard the news, he also received another piece of news. The Nebula royal family was destroyed, and the Wang family suffered countless casualties. Their whereabouts were unknown. If it were any other family, Longao wouldn't care at all. However, he couldn't ignore the Wang family. No matter what, the Wang family was still Yu Yin's family. If something happened to the Wang family, Yu Yin would return in the future. How would he explain it to Yu Yin? It was just a rumor. Longao didn't see it with his own eyes. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. If the Wang family was really destroyed, it would be troublesome. Because of this, Longao immediately left Crimson Dragon City and rushed towards Tianju. Chapter 283. Sky Martial Continent was divided into 9 regions. Sky Region had a total of 6 sects: Ghost King Sect, Golden Sun Sect, Leitang Sect, Blood Sea Sect, Wind Thunder Sect, and Blazing Sect. After many years of preparation, Ghost King Ao Tian could no longer wait and started the biggest battle in Sky Region. According to Ghost King Ao Tian's original plan, he wanted to divide the 5 sects and then Ghost King Sect would reap the benefits. But in the end, he realized that each of the 5 sects was better than the other. Since that was the case, he chose to form an alliance. Because of that, the 6 sects were divided into 2 alliances. Ghost King Sect, Golden Sun Sect, and Leitang Sect formed an alliance. The remaining 3 sects, Blood Sea Sect, Wind Thunder Sect, and Blazing Sect formed another alliance. The 2 alliances began to fight each other. At the beginning, it was the ordinary disciples who fought. In the end, it was the inner sect disciples who fought. Even the elders joined in. Either you die or I die. Things had already reached this stage. The 6 sects clearly knew that there was no turning back. If they couldn't destroy the other party, then they would be the ones to be destroyed. Scarlet Flame Town, Long Family. The current Scarlet Flame Town was no longer what it used to be. Its scale had expanded by more than 10 times. Even Star Cloud City couldn't be compared to the current Scarlet Flame Town. Everyone knew that the reason why Scarlet Flame Town could be where it was today was because of one person, the super genius of the Long family, Longao. Longao's strong rise caused Scarlet Flame Town to gradually appear in the eyes of everyone in Sky Region. Under normal circumstances, with the Long family and Scarlet Flame Town's current strength and status, no one dared to provoke them. Even the Wang family of the Star Cloud royal family, no one dared to provoke them because everyone knew that the Long family was the backing of the Wang family. But the result? Out of the 2 alliances formed by the 6 sects, the first thing that Blood Sea Sect did was not to deal with Ghost King Sect, Golden Sun Sect, and Leitang Sect, but to deal with the Wang family of the Star Cloud royal family. The Wang family had just entered the Star Cloud royal family. Their foundation was not stable and their strength was not very strong. Not to mention Blood Sea Sect, even the other families were not a match for them. Therefore, Blood Sea Sect destroyed the Wang family effortlessly. If Wang Yidao didn't prepare beforehand, everyone in the Wang family would have been killed. Scarlet Flame Town, Long family's main hall. Brother Wang, are you alright? Wang Yidao waved his hand and sighed deeply. He said helplessly, fortunately, the Thunder Sect's Xia Jun informed me in time, allowing me to move everyone away. Otherwise, the Wang clan would have been destroyed. Long Haoshe could clearly sense the danger the Wang family was in. Long Haoshe was a bit surprised that the Blood Sea Sect would suddenly attack the Wang family. After all, the battle between the 6 great sects had nothing to do with the Wang family. Could it be that the Wang family was a threat to the 6 great sects? After thinking about it, Long Haoshe could only think of one possibility, and that was Longao, his grandson. Others might not know, but Long Haoshe clearly knew that the enmity between the Blood Sea Sect and Aoa had already reached the point where they could not tolerate each other. Since the Blood Sea Sect had chosen to start a war, they would definitely not let go of this opportunity to take revenge. The Wang clan was the first, followed by the Long clan. Regarding this point, whether it was Long Haoshe or Wang Yidao, both of them were very clear about it. The first thing that the Blood Sea Sect did was to deal with the Wang family. Then, they would deal with the Long family next, without a doubt. Brother Long, what should we do next? The Long family and the Wang family were in the same boat. Wang Yidao was very clear that once something happened to the Long family, the Wang family would end up the same as the Long family. The Blood Sea sect is very strong. We cannot choose to fight them head-on. Therefore, I have already decided to evacuate all the Long family members and leave the Scarlet Flame town. 3 days ago, when Longao received the news that the Blood Sea sect was going to deal with the Wang family, he had already started making preparations. In just 3 days, 99% of the Long family members had already been evacuated from the Scarlet Flame town. Longao knew that the Blood Sea sect was only going to deal with the Long family. If the Long family left, the Blood Sea sect would not be so shameless as to massacre an entire town. Brother Wang, the Long family members have already been evacuated. As for the Wang family disciples, they have also been evacuated. Now, only you and I are left. Why don't we go out for a walk and think about coming back in the future? We don't even know what will happen when we come back. Hearing that all the disciples of the Dragon and Wang families had been evacuated, Wang Yidao heaved a sigh of relief. Nodding his head, Wang Yidao and Longao left the hall. The 2 old men walked on the streets of the Scarlet Flame town. Their faces were filled with longing and reluctance. Brother Long, there is no need to be reluctant. With Ao's talent and potential, I believe that it will not be long before we come back again. Nodding his head, Longao was very confident in his grandson. Not continuing to be entangled, Longao suddenly smiled and said, "Let's go, we should leave early. I believe that the Blood Sea sect will be here soon." Just as Longao and Wang Yidao left, the Blood Sea sect's army arrived. The Blood Sea sect had only sent 1,000 people this time. However, the leaders were 2 earthly sovereigns, Yi He and Du Tianming. Actually, the reason why Longao chose to leave this time was because the Fire Qilin had suddenly left the Long family. Otherwise, with the Fire Qilin overseeing the Long family, who would dare to provoke the Long family? Because of this, Longao chose to leave the Scarlet Flame town with his family. As the saying goes, where there is life, there is hope. As long as the Long family is not destroyed, there will be a day when it will rise again. Outside the Scarlet Flame town. Elders, the Long family is empty. We do not know where they went. What? In an instant, Yi He and Du Tianming already knew what had happened. Their faces instantly became gloomy. Because this time, the master gave them the task of destroying the Long family no matter what happened. If one of them ran away, the 2 of them would not have to go back. But now, not to mention that one of them ran away, everyone in the Long family was gone. If this matter was known by the master, the 2 of them would not be able to escape. Brother Yi, what should we do now? This matter must not be known by the master. Everyone, listen up. The Long family dares to be enemies with our Blood Sea sect. Their deaths are not to be regretted. Everyone enter the Scarlet Flame town. Don't put one person, including the other people in the Scarlet Flame town. Do you understand? How could the 1,000 people not understand, but due to the identity and strength of the 2 people, everyone nodded and said loudly, "Understood." With a sneer, Du Tianming and Yi He personally led more than 1,000 disciples of the Blood Sea sect into the Red Fire town. They killed everyone they saw, no matter who it was, even if it was a 5-year-old child. Chapter 284. In just 2 hours, the Scarlet Fire town was completely massacred. No one was spared. Whether it was the elderly, the children, or even the infants, they were all massacred. Not a single one was spared. The news of the Blood Sea sect massacring the Scarlet Fire town instantly spread throughout the entire Tianzhu. Many people were incomparably shocked. They didn't know why the Blood Sea sect would massacre such a small town. Scarlet Fire town, where Longao's family was located. After knowing this, everyone fiercely despised the Blood Sea sect. In everyone's opinion, no matter what the grudge between the Blood Sea sect and Longao was, they couldn't slaughter an entire town. What was even more excessive was that they slaughtered everyone, men, women, young and old. However, due to the Blood Sea sect's great strength, no one dared to stand out and say a word. Even if they were angry, they didn't dare to speak out. Within the Scarlet Fire town, Longao stood there quietly. No anger or killing intent could be seen from him. He just stood there quietly. The current Scarlet Fire town could only be described with 8 words. Corpses were everywhere, blood flowed like a river. Millions of people were massacred. If one wasn't careful, one could even see the corpses of infants everywhere. Brother Long, we've let you down. Shia Jun and Dugu Bai had already rushed over. When the two of them found out that Longao wasn't dead, they were extremely excited. At the same time, they were also deeply shocked. After all, there wasn't a single person who could survive a Dao ancestor's self-destruction. Ever since the 6 great sects started the war, the two of them had been extremely busy. As for the Blood Sea sect's attack on the Scarlet Fire town, they only found out later. When the two of them were about to rescue Longao, they found out that the Scarlet Fire town had already been destroyed by the Blood Sea sect. The two of them clearly knew what the destruction of the Scarlet Fire town meant. Longao didn't say anything. Silence. The entire Scarlet Fire town was silent. Aside from the smell of blood that filled the air, there were only corpses on the ground. Looking at the motionless black-clothed and white-haired youth standing in front of them, both Shia Jun and Dugu Bai deeply sighed in their hearts. Brother Dugu, what should we do now? Wait and see. Brother Long definitely can't take such a blow. From now on, no matter where Brother Long goes, we have to follow him closely. Shia Jun nodded. He knew that Longao's family had been destroyed, and Longao was definitely on the verge of collapse. However, Longao didn't seem angry or murderous. Instead, he was so calm that it was terrifying. With empty eyes, Longao's mind went blank. Just like this, Longao stood in the Crimson Flame Town for 3 days. In these 3 days, Longao didn't move at all. He didn't sleep, didn't rest, didn't eat, and didn't drink. No matter what Shia Jun and Dugu Bai said, Longao still didn't speak. He just stood there quietly. Brother Dugu, Brother Long's eyebrows. Looking over, the two of them sighed deeply. It had only been 3 days, but Longao couldn't take the blow. His eyebrows had turned white. At this moment, Longao's hair was white, and his eyebrows were white. He was dressed in black, and he stood there alone. Who is the one who destroyed my Long family's representative this time? Hearing Longao finally speak, Dugu Bai and Shia Jun were delighted. Shia Jun couldn't wait to answer. This time, the leaders are 2 elders of the Blood Sea sect. They are Yi He and Du Tianming. Both of them are earthly sovereigns. Earthly sovereigns? The corner of Longao's mouth curled up into a cruel smile. Suddenly, an earth-shattering murderous aura burst out from his body and spread out in all directions. The murderous aura merged with the aura of heaven and earth. Even Dugu Bai and Shia Jun were forced to retreat by this frightening murderous aura. Dugu Bai and Shia Jun's faces were full of shock. They almost cried out in surprise. They had never expected that Longao's cultivation would improve again in just a few days. He had broken through from the earthly emperor realm to the peak of the Dao ancestor realm. What did this mean? Not to mention Longao's talent and cultivation speed, just Longao's strength alone was enough to dominate everyone under the Nihility realm. It should be known that when Longao was only an earthly sovereign, he was already able to kill Dao ancestor experts. It was conceivable that Longao's cultivation had officially broken through to peak Dao ancestor. Didn't that mean that Longao was invincible in the Nihility realm? Shia Jun and Dugu Bai could see the deep shock in each other's eyes. If they hadn't sensed it personally, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. Such talent and cultivation speed were simply too terrifying. Brother Long, what are you planning to do? Feeling the powerful murderous aura emitted from Longao, Dugu Bai and Shia Jun seemed to have guessed something. The two of them felt a lingering fear. If Longao really went to the Blood Sea sect to take revenge, not only would he be unable to do so, but it would also be counterproductive. The Blood Sea sect was one of the 6 great sects and the overlord of the Alliance. One could imagine how terrifying the Blood Sea sect's strength was. Among the 6 great sects, the Inferno sect and the Sound of Thunder sect were publicly acknowledged as the strongest sects. But what was the result? The truly powerful sects weren't the Inferno sect and the Sound of Thunder sect, but the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect. Because of this, Dugu Bai and Xia Jun were very worried. If Longao really went to the Blood Sea sect, with just Longao's strength, it would be impossible for him to take revenge. Brother Dugu, Brother Xia, who is the strongest person in the Blood Sea sect? The two of them knew Longao's character very well. Once he had decided on something, it would be very difficult to change it. Dugu Bai sighed deeply and said, Brother Long, according to what I know, the strongest person in the Blood Sea sect should be the Ji Zun. But with your current strength, it's impossible for you to be a match for a Ji Zun. Ji Zun. Longao naturally knew what a Ji Zun meant. Not to mention a Ji Zun, even a venerable would be impossible for him with his current strength. However, he had to take revenge for his family, no matter what happened, no matter what difficulties he faced. The Blood Sea sect must be destroyed. Longao didn't continue to stay. He moved with the wind, and his figure had already disappeared without a trace. Brother Dugu, what should we do now? Xia Jun was very worried. He knew Longao's character too well. If nothing unexpected happened, Longao would definitely go to the Blood Sea sect. It was easy to imagine whether he would live or die. You should know Brother Long's character better than me. It's impossible for us to follow him to the Blood Sea sect. We can only go back and ask the sect for help. I hope that the sect will form an alliance with Brother Long to deal with the Blood Sea sect together. Otherwise, with Brother Long's strength alone, it's impossible for him to destroy the Blood Sea sect. Xia Jun nodded. He obviously knew the strength of the Blood Sea sect. Not to mention Longao, even the Sound of Thunder sect might not be a match for the Blood Sea sect. This was the strength of the Blood Sea sect. Since that's the case, let's go back first. Later, let the sect seal off this place. No matter who it is, no one is allowed to enter. Those who disobey will be killed without mercy. Dugu Bai and Xia Jun had already decided to seal off the Scarlet Fire town. No matter what, they would have to wait for Longao to come back and deal with this place. The only thing they could do was to watch over this place. Chapter 285. Inside the Dragon Seal Space. Longao's face was unusually cold. He had already decided that no matter what, he would go to the Blood Sea sect to take revenge. Long Fu, I need power. Is there any way for me to break through to the honorable or sovereign realm? Longao originally wanted to use the 9 Needles of Divine Seal, but Long Fu told him that even if he used the 9 Needles of Divine Seal, his strength would not break through the Nihility realm, let alone becoming a martial saint or martial saint. The reason was simple. A peak Dao ancestor could only break through to the Void realm if he could pass through the 100 tribulations to turn the spiritual energy in his body into spiritual energy. Otherwise, even if he used the 9 Needles seal, it was impossible to break through to the Void realm. Because of this, Longao was completely anxious. Although the anger and killing intent in his heart occupied everything, Longao still suppressed his impulse and killing intent. Longao was very clear in his heart that with his current strength, wanting to destroy the Blood Sea sect was simply a dream, unless his cultivation could break through to the peak of the martial saint realm or the sovereign realm. Master, there's no way. Looking deeply at Long Fu, Longao knew that since Long Fu said so, there was really no hope. Could it be that he had to endure like this? After leaving the Dragon Seal Space, Longao met the Fire Chilin. To be honest, Longao still had a lot of complaints about the Fire Chilin. No matter what, he had a 3-year agreement with the Fire Chilin. But now, the 3-year agreement hadn't expired yet, but such a thing had happened to the family. The Fire Chilin had to bear half of the responsibility. However, Longao wasn't angry at all. After all, the Fire Chilin's strength was there for all to see. Moreover, he also treated the Fire Chilin as his friend. Kid, you don't have to be unhappy. I did have something to do and had to leave. I didn't expect such a thing to happen. Longao didn't speak. He just stood there and listened quietly. There was no expression on his face. Kid, do you want to take revenge? Hearing the Fire Chilin's words, Longao's eyes suddenly shot out a golden light. He was filled with killing intent and asked in a deep voice, "You have a way?" "Yes, but if you're not careful, the consequences will be very serious. You must be prepared. No matter what happens, I will take revenge and destroy the Blood River sect. All right. With my current strength, I can only help you break through to the hollow martial artist realm. However, I can give you 3 drops of my life essence blood. If you encounter a martial artist, as long as you use my life essence blood to launch a soul attack, you will have a 90% chance of successfully killing your enemy. He was overjoyed. Longao obviously knew what the fire Chaline's life blood essence meant. Under normal circumstances, a martial artist's life blood essence represented their own life. It was very difficult to make up for a single drop missing, let alone 3 drops of life blood essence. Longao was very confident that as long as his cultivation could break through to the venerable void, he would be able to kill a supreme being powerhouse as long as he could catch his opponent off guard and release a soul attack with the help of the 3 drops of natal surprise. Immediately after, Longao felt that his body was out of control. He was not surprised at all because he knew that this was the fire Kirine's help to increase his strength. Without any resistance, Longao was enveloped by a terrifying fire attribute aura. Waves of powerful fire energy entered Longao's body. The fire Kirine's meaning was very simple. Although Longao could not attract his own 100 tribulations and reach the hollow martial artist realm, he could help Longao to forcefully convert the spiritual energy in his body into spiritual energy. Although this forceful increase in realm was not comparable to a true 100 tribulations, what Longao needed the most now was to increase his strength. However, forcefully increasing one's strength like this would have a lot of side effects. Once there was a backlash, it would be much more powerful than the 9 needles sealing god. According to the fire Kirine, this forceful increase in strength could last for about 10 days. This was the fire Kirine's limit. 10 days was enough. 6 hours later. Big brother Kirine, thank you very much. No matter what, you're my big brother. I want to ask you for a favor. Speak. The fire Kirine seemed a bit guilty. After all, if he did not leave Kaihua town, the Long family would not have been destroyed. However, as a proud Kirine, the fire Kirine would not admit its mistake. Even so, the fire Kirine was already very kind. According to its pride, it would not have helped Longao increase his strength. Regarding all of this, Longao naturally knew it clearly. It would be a lie to say that he was not grateful to the fire Kirine. Although he had a 3-year agreement with the fire Kirine, he could not stay by its side all the time. Big brother Kirine, this time I'm going to the Blood River sect. I want to ask you to help me protect Kaihua town. If I'm lucky enough to come back alive, I'll take care of it. But if I can't come back alive, then please help me burn down Kaihua town. Longao had already thought of all the things that could happen. Although his strength had increased to the venerable realm and he had 3 drops of the fire Kirine's blood essence, it was better to be safe than sorry. No one knew the strength of the Blood River sect. According to the rumors, among the 6 sects, the Sound of Thunder and Flame sect were the strongest. But what was the result? The Blood River sect and Ghost King sect were far stronger than the Sound of Thunder and Flame sect. This in itself showed how shrewd the Blood River sect was. It was precisely because of this that Longao did not have complete confidence that he would be able to destroy the Blood Sea sect this time. So, he had to think about everything. The people that he was most worried about were Yu Yin, Ao Shui, and his dead family. Blood River sect. I'll help you take care of this matter. You have 1 month. Nodding, Longao left Kaihua town. He did not immediately go to the Blood River sect. Although he only had 10 days, at this time, he wanted to see someone very much. Yu Yin could not be found, so he could only go see Ao Shui before he left. However, what made Longao feel helpless was that because the 6 sects were at war, the Ghost King sect was completely locked down. No matter who it was, no one was allowed to step into the Ghost King sect. Longao did not want to cause trouble at this time, so he could only choose to leave. The matter of the Kaihua town being destroyed by the Blood River sect was only a ripple. The next day, it had disappeared without a trace. Today, in the Tianju, including the other 8 provinces, everyone was paying attention to the battle between the 6 sects. They wanted to see who would win and who would lose. However, one thing was certain, and that was that no matter which alliance won or lost, the situation in the Tianju would change. The balance of power between the 6 major sects would turn into a struggle between the 3 major sects. The war in the Tianju was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the other 8 major sects. There were even forces from a few continents that were ready to intervene at any time. Chapter 286. The Blood Sea Sect, one of the 6 sects. All along, the Blood Sea Sect had been the weakest among the 6 sects. The strongest ones were the Flaming House and the Sound of Thunder House. But what the world didn't expect was that the Blood Sea Sect, which had always been unknown, had such terrifying strength. They even surpassed the Flaming House and the Sound of Thunder House and formed an alliance to fight against the Ghost King House. It could be said that the Ghost King House and the Blood Sea Sect were like 2 dark horses. They were in the limelight and suppressed the Flaming House and the Sound of Thunder House. The Blood Sea Sect had 10 honorables and 3 honorables. Whereas the Flaming House and the Sound of Thunder House only had 2 honorables. One could imagine how powerful the Blood Sea Sect was. The Blood Sea Sect was located at the Blood Sea Peak. It was surrounded by mountains and one couldn't even see the end of it. This time, the Blood Sea Sect teamed up with the Sound of Thunder House and the Flaming House to fight against the Ghost King House. It could be said that they were at a stalemate. No one could do anything to the other. Back then, the Ghost King House and the Blood Sea Sect were about to form an alliance. With the 2 sects working together, they could easily destroy the other 4 sects and dominate Tianju. But in the end, the 2 sects didn't form an alliance. The reason was simple. Both sects wanted to be the leader. The leader was the leader. The second leader couldn't be compared to him. The Blood Sea Peak was one of the wonders of Tianju. The Blood Sea Peak had a total of 12 mountain peaks, encircling each other, with the Blood Sea Peak in the middle, looking majestic. 3 days later, a young man stood at the foot of the Blood Sea Peak. He had white hair and 2 white eyebrows. Dressed in black, he was cold and aloof. He stood there quietly and stared at the Blood Sea Peak before him. Longao had arrived at the foot of the Blood Sea Peak. After asking around, Longao already knew the true strength of the Blood Sea Peak. If it weren't for the alliance, the Blood Sea Sect wouldn't have revealed their true strength. In other words, both the Blood Sea Sect and the Ghost King House had 3 honorables and 10 honorables. One had to admit that the Blood Sea Sect was indeed powerful. With the help of the Fire Chelene, Longao's strength had successfully broken through to the honorable realm. He also had 3 drops of the Fire Chelene's blood. Who are you? The Blood Sea Peak is an important place. Leave quickly, or else you will be killed without mercy. The battle between the 2 great alliances had caused the Blood Sea Sect to be extremely strict. No matter who it was, no one was allowed to enter the Blood Sea Peak. Furthermore, the 2 disciples guarding the peak were both Xiantian cultivators. A one-line sky martial artist guarding the gate. If it was in the past, the one-line sky martial artists guarding the gate would definitely shock everyone and curse the Blood Sea Sect for being wasteful. But now, everyone could only say that the Blood Sea Sect was being cautious and wary of the Ghost King Sect. Tell Guan Feng to get out here. Guan Feng. The 2 Blood Sea Sect disciples didn't seem to be able to react for a moment, but very quickly, their faces abruptly changed as they angrily said, "Are you courting death? You actually dare to call Master by his name." The master of the Blood Sea Sect, Guan Feng, was no longer the same as before. "If you don't come out, kill. You're courting death." The 2 disciples couldn't bear it any longer. Regardless of whether the Blood Sea Sect had risen or not, no one had ever dared to openly challenge them. Not to mention a little brat, even the Ghost King Sect disciples didn't dare to do so. Both of them were from One Line Sky and had the backing of their respective sects, so they didn't fear each other at all. But the 2 of them came quickly and left even faster. 2 miserable screams resounded as their bodies fell to the ground, dead. Longao coldly glanced at the Blood Sea Sect disciples in front of him. Suddenly, his voice rumbled like thunder. "Old thief Guan Feng, quickly come out and accept your death. Old thief Guan Feng, quickly come out and accept your death. Old thief Guan Feng, quickly come out and accept your death. Old thief Guan Feng, quickly come out and accept your death." Longao roared 3 times in a row. His voice instantly spread throughout the entire Blood Sea sect. Not long after, the angry voice came from afar and soon, Guan Feng and the other 11 people appeared at the foot of the Blood Sea peak. Guan Feng's cultivation had smoothly broken through to the Supreme's realm. Adding the 2 original Supremes of the Blood Sea sect, the Blood Sea sect now had 3 Supremes and 10 Venerables. This was the full strength of the Blood Sea sect. Longao's venerable aura was not concealed in the slightest. Because of this, Guan Feng brought 10 Venerables here. When Guan Feng saw that the other party was Longao, he was stunned. Then, he suddenly laughed and said, "Longao, I have to admit that you're too arrogant. You don't know the difference between life and death." While mocking, Guan Feng's heart was also shocked to the extreme. This was because he could clearly sense that the black-clothed, white-haired youth in front of him had broken through to the venerable realm in such a short time. With such cultivation talent, who in the Tianju region could compete with him? Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots to prevent future troubles. Guan Feng was very clear that with Longao's talent and strength, wouldn't Longao become even stronger in a few more years? At that time, even the Blood Sea sect would not be able to stop Longao. You destroyed my Long family. Today, the Blood Sea sect will be destroyed. Hearing this, the 10 Venerables behind Guan Feng all laughed as if they had heard the funniest thing in the world. Their faces were filled with ridicule and contempt. So what if he was unvenerable? No matter what, the other party was only one person. What about their side? There were a total of 10 sovereigns and 1 sovereign. With this kind of strength, killing Longao was simply something that could be done in minutes. Not to mention the venerable Guan Feng, if the 10 Venerables joined forces, it would be very difficult for Longao to resist. Ignoring the 11 people's ridicule, Longao suddenly sneered and said, "Guan Feng, with my strength, slaughtering the Blood Sea sect is very simple. I believe that you can't stop me." Hearing this, whether it was Guan Feng or the 10 Venerables, their faces became abnormally ugly. This was because everyone knew that if Longao really hid and assassinated the disciples of the Blood Sea sect, they would not be able to do anything. After all, the strength and speed of Unvenerable were there for all to see. "Longao, what do you want?" Guan Feng's face was also abnormally ugly. The more confident Longao was, the more unsure Guan Feng and the others were. After all, they could not afford to gamble. Moreover, now was a special time. If the Ghost King sect seized the opportunity, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Guan Feng, you destroyed my Long family. I will definitely destroy your Blood Sea sect. However, I will do it openly and not as shameless as you. Let's have a life and death battle. If I win, everyone in the Blood Sea sect will kill themselves. If I lose, I will kill myself here. Heaven and earth will be my witness. Do you dare to accept the challenge? A life and death battle. A life and death battle." Hearing this, Guan Feng and the 10 Venerables all laughed. This kind of joke was probably the funniest joke in the world. He was simply courting death. Chapter 287. Longao, do you want to fight 1-on-1 or 1-on-10? Guan Feng's meaning was simple. No matter what, he had 10 sovereigns behind him. Even if Longao had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't be able to withstand it. Longao's voice had spread throughout the entire Blood River sect. Soon, all the disciples of the Blood River sect had gathered. There were thousands of them. Not only the Blood Sea sect, the news of Longao killing his way to the Blood Sea sect was spread out by someone, but the people from the other 5 great sects of the Sky region all knew about it, so many people came from afar and did not approach. In the distance, Brother Dugu, Brother Long's cultivation has broken through to Sovereign Void. Nodding his head, Dugu Bai's face was extremely serious. He said, "Brother Long must have used the 9 divine sealing needles again. It seems like he's prepared to stake it all on this. Brother Dugu, was it right for us to spread the news of Brother Long killing his way to the Blood River sect? So it was these 2 who spread the news. Otherwise, no one would know. Xiao Jun, even if Brother Long used the 9 divine sealing needles to forcibly increase his strength, Brother Long is still a single person. However, The Blood Sea sect has a total of 10 reverends and 3 utmost exalts. With such strength, not to mention Brother Long, even the entire sect would not be able to contend against them. Although he didn't want to admit it, Xia Jun knew that Dugu Bai was speaking the truth. The Blood River sect was too strong. Even the other sects couldn't fight against them, unless it was the Ghost King sect. Among the 6 sects, it was no longer the Inferno sect and the Sound of Thunder sect. It was the Ghost King sect and the Blood River sect. Brother Dugu, what do you mean? Until now, Xia Jun still didn't know why Brother Dugu wanted to spread the news. I want to help Brother Long how? This time, Brother Long killed his way to the Blood River sect. Look, the 5 sects are all here. If the 5 sects can see Brother Long's talent and strength, I believe there will be people who will help him. Nodding his head, Xia Jun finally understood what Brother Dugu meant. Many experts from the 5 great sects had gathered. They all wanted to see how the grudge between Longao and the Blood Sea sect would be resolved. If it was an ordinary warrior attacking the Blood Sea sect, no one would care at all. However, Longao's situation was different. One had to know that Longao had single-handedly attacked the Ghost King sect and forcefully resisted the Ghost King sect and the Golden Sun sect. It was precisely because of this that the 5 great sects were filled with anticipation towards Longao. They wanted to see what kind of surprise Longao would bring them, and whether or not he could contend against the Blood River sect. Longao, I can give you a chance. As long as you can defeat 10 elders by yourself, I'll consider it your win. How about it? It was too much of a bully. Hearing the words of the Blood River sect's master Guan Feng, a wave of curses, mockery, booing, and even cursing 18 generations of ancestors came from all around. The 10 Blood River sect's grand elders were all genuine venerables. Even if Longao had used some secret technique to forcibly raise his strength to the venerables realm, it was still impossible for him to defeat 10 venerables by himself. The Blood River sect's master was simply shameless to the extreme. However, since the matter had already reached this point, no one stood out to say anything. It was just as Dugu Bai had guessed, unless Longao displayed formidable strength and talent, no one would meddle in other people's business and provoke the Blood Sea sect. Dugu Bai was very confident in Longao. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spread this news. Ha ha ha, Longao, could it be that you don't dare? Guan Feng and the others' faces were filled with mockery and disdain. A mere venerables dared to be so arrogant and kill their way into the Blood River sect. Even if there were 10 venerables, he alone could easily kill them. Until now, Guan Feng still couldn't figure out what gave Longao such great courage to actually have the guts to attack the Blood Sea sect. Guan Feng, do you feel that you're shameless? Ha ha ha, shameless? Longao, I will let you understand a truth. The winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. Since ancient times, the winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit. Only the winner has the qualifications to say that the loser is shameless, and the loser doesn't have the qualifications to say that the winner is shameless. Guan Feng smiled and continued, I have to admit that your talent is indeed the strongest among all the people I've seen. Without a doubt, you can even chase after the dragon rankings in the future, but you already have no chance. Guan Feng was very clear about what the dragon rankings represented. The dragon rankings were the most valuable rankings of the Long family. Once Longao entered the dragon rankings, he would definitely obtain the approval of the Long family. At that time, it would be troublesome. The Long family was one of the strongest powers in the martial heaven continent. Let alone a single Blood River sect, even 1,000 Blood River sects added together might not be a match for the Long family. It was precisely because of this that Guan Feng was so impatient to kill Longao. He wanted to strangle this genius in the cradle. No matter what, he couldn't allow Longao to enter the dragon rankings and obtain the approval of the Long family. Under normal circumstances, the Blood River sect and the Ghost King sect were fighting. They wouldn't have the time or energy to provoke other people. However, Guan Feng had specifically sent disciples to destroy Scarlet Flame Town. That in itself showed just how much Guan Feng feared Longao. You've said a lot. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. Only the strong can set the rules of survival. So I will slaughter the Blood River sect, leaving no one alive. With just you. From start to finish, Guanfeng hadn't placed Longao in his eyes. That was because he knew just how great the gap between sovereigns and sovereigns was. Unless he was a sovereign, he wouldn't bring any trouble to the sect. Longao, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but since you dared to kill your way into the Blood River sect, you should have been prepared to face their experts alone. You don't even dare to challenge the 10 elders. Guanfeng didn't continue, but the disdain on his face was enough to explain everything. Everyone was viciously cursing the Blood River sect and Guanfeng. No matter how much courage Longao had and how much confidence he had in himself, to face 10 sovereigns by himself, let alone Longao, no matter who it was, they wouldn't dare to accept the challenge. Precisely because of this, Longao didn't accept the challenge of the 10 venerables. None of them looked down on him. Instead, they all thought that Guanfeng was shameless, and that the Bloodsea sect was shameless. After all, such a challenge was simply taking advantage of the situation. However, Longao suddenly raised his head and stared at Guanfeng and the 10 elders behind him. Suddenly, he said, "The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit." Guanfeng, I, Longao, will now formally challenge the 10 elders of the Blood River sect. Do you dare to accept the challenge? Chapter 288. Longao challenged the 10 great elders of the Bloodsea sect. Hearing Longao's challenge, everyone was dumbfounded. None of them could believe it. Longao was fighting 1 against 10. There was no need to fight. Everyone could already guess the result. Big brother Dugu, is brother Long crazy? Waving his hand, Dugu Bai's face was also very serious. According to my understanding of brother Long, he shouldn't be so reckless. Looks like brother Long is very confident. I look forward to brother Long's counterattack. Counterattack? Hearing Dugu Bai's words, Xia Jun smiled bitterly. Although he was very confident in Longao, there was a limit to everything. 1 against 10, and the opponents were 10 venerables. Could Longao really win against 10 venerables? On the other side, Ghost King Ao Tian also stared at the young man in the distance. His expression was unpredictable. He was very clear that as long as he attacked now, Longao wouldn't die. But why did he do this? In the end, Ao Tian didn't want his daughter to marry Longao. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done so many things to stop it. Ha ha ha, I've seen arrogant people, but I've never seen someone as arrogant as you. Alright, I accept your challenge on behalf of the 10 great elders. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Guanfeng continued, the life and death battle between you and the 10 great elders will be set at the Boundless Blood Sea. The Boundless Blood Sea. Hearing Guanfeng mention the Boundless Blood Sea, the 10 great elders were all shocked. Master. Waving his hand, Guanfeng smiled and said, Longao, don't say that I didn't give you a chance. The Boundless Blood Sea is the forbidden area of the Bloodsea sect. Not to mention outsiders, even the sect's disciples are not allowed to enter. Longao didn't immediately agree. Because he didn't know what kind of place the Boundless Blood Sea was. Longao already felt that it was very difficult to fight against 10 venerables. If he entered the Boundless Blood Sea, he would lose the geographical advantage. Wouldn't he be in a very passive position? Longao did not have the advantage of time, place, and people. Guanfeng laughed disdainfully and said, Longao, there is no need to be afraid. Now that the 5 great sects are all here, my Bloodsea sect will not cheat you. Longao knew that if he continued to be wishy-washy, there would be no need for this battle to begin. Alright, this battle shall take place on the Boundless Blood Sea. Immediately after, Guanfeng led the 10 great elders towards the Bloodsea peak, while Longao followed closely behind. Guanfeng also gave the order that the people from the 5 great sects could go to the Bloodsea peak to watch the battle. The 5 sects were not afraid at all, even the Ghost King sect. Brother Long, are you really going to challenge the 10 great elders of the Bloodsea sect? Dugu Bai and Xia Jun's faces were filled with worry. Although the 2 of them were confident in Longao, the other side still had 10 venerables. If they were to work together, no one would be able to fight against the combined might of 10 venerables unless a prime were to personally come. Brother Dugu, Brother Xia, Do you know what kind of place the boundless blood sea of the Blood Sea sect is? Seeing that Longao had already made up his mind, the two of them deeply sighed. They understood Longao too well. If Longao was a rational person, they believed that he would not have single-handedly killed his way into the Ghost King sect to steal the bride. Brother Long, according to the rumors, the boundless blood sea is a forbidden area of the Blood Sea sect. Ordinary disciples are unable to enter, unless they are the core disciples of the Blood Sea sect. Longao was very surprised. In the end, the Blood Sea sect's boundless blood sea is a cultivation holy land. I'm also very puzzled as to why Guan Feng would set the location of the battle between you two at the boundless blood sea sect. This does not bring any benefits to the Blood Sea sect. Not to mention Dugu Bai and Xia Jun, even Longao was somewhat curious. What kind of trick was Guan Feng playing? Brother Long, have you thought about it? Even if you can defeat the 10 sovereigns, the Blood Sea sect still has 3 supremes. How are you going to deal with them? He didn't know if the Fire Chalene already knew the strength of the Blood Sea sect, but it gave him exactly 3 drops of blood essence, just enough to deal with the 3 supremes. But Longao was even more clear that against the 10 sovereigns of the Blood Sea sect, he had to rely on his own strength. No matter what happened, he could not use the 3 drops of blood essence. Otherwise, he would not have any guarantee against the 3 supremes. No matter what, the Blood Sea sect must be destroyed. My Long family's hatred will be paid with blood. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. Hearing Longao's words, Dugu Bai and Xia Jun deeply sighed. It seemed that Longao had already decided to fight the Blood Sea sect to the death. Since the matter had already reached this point, Dugu Bai and Xia Jun did not continue to persuade him. Brother Long, as friends, Xiao Jun and I should have gone through life and death with you, but, without waiting for Dugu Bai to finish his words, Longao had already waved his hand and stood on his side. He really did not want to implicate the two of them because everyone knew that with Dugu Bai and Xiao Jun's strength, once they helped him, only death would await them. Brother Dugu, Brother Xia, I already understand your intentions. I only have one thing to ask of you, and I hope you can agree to it. Brother Long, please say it. No matter what it is, as long as it's within our ability, we will definitely do it. Dugu Bai and Xia Jun already felt deeply guilty that they did not face life and death with Longao. If they couldn't even do what Longao asked of them, then they really did not deserve to be friends. If anything happens to me, please help me take care of Aoshue, and help me find Yu Yin. Please. His family had already been destroyed. In this world, there were only 2 people that Longao was most worried about. The first was Aoshue, and the second was Yu Yin. Longao did not have full confidence in fighting against the 10 venerables of the Blood Sea sect. It was better to be safe than sorry. If he unfortunately fell, at least Dugu Bai and Xia Jun could take care of Aoshue and Yu Yin. Brother Long, please rest assured. Even if we die, we will take care of Aoshue and Yu Yin for you. Xia Jun deeply sighed and said, Brother Long, when the Ghost King sect and Blood Sea sect fight to the death, I will definitely avenge you, even if I die. No matter what Dugu Bai and Xia Jun said, it was already enough for them to say such words. Brother Long, you must be careful when fighting against the 10 venerables. As friends, Longao naturally knew that Dugu Bai and Xia Jun were very worried about him. It was just that for some reason, they could not help him. But no matter what, with someone taking care of Aoshue and Yu Yin for him, he could die without any worries. The only thing Longao felt regretful about was that Long Jing was possessed by an evil spirit. He had let down Long Potian. If there was a next life, he would definitely return this favor to Long Potian. Alright, I'll survive. Under the worried gazes of Dugu Bai and Xia Jun, Longao quickened his steps and followed closely behind Guan Feng and the 10 elders. Chapter 289. Boundless Blood Sea, the forbidden area of the Blood Sea sect. The Blood Sea sect had a rule that without the sect's permission, ordinary disciples were not allowed to enter. Even the core disciples needed the sect's permission to enter. According to the rumors, the Boundless Blood Sea sect was a holy land for cultivation. The heaven and earth spiritual qi was twice as abundant as the outside world. Because of this, the 5 great sects and Longao could not understand why Guanfeng would choose this place to fight. The boundless Blood Sea was a gigantic valley. It was extremely huge. The entire valley was filled with heaven and earth spiritual chi. In the middle of the valley was a huge pool of blood that was constantly churning. Above the pool of blood was a huge training field that could hold up to 100 people. According to Guanfeng, Longao and the 10 sovereigns were going to have a life and death battle at the training field. Once they relaxed and fell into the pool of blood, they would immediately turn into blood. Longao, I'll give you one last chance. As long as you kneel down and join the Blood Sea sect, I can let this matter go. How about it? Idiot. Without waiting for Guanfeng to get angry, Longao suddenly said loudly, I, Longao, officially challenge the 10 of you. Do you dare to accept? Longao, don't be arrogant. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Let me, old fatty, take care of you. Guanfeng had already left the training field. Among the 10 sovereigns, a figure suddenly shot out. His bloated body looked like it was about to collapse. His head was too fat, and his facial features could not be seen clearly. Old Fatty was the weakest of the 10 sovereigns. Among the 10 sovereigns, Old Fatty was a beginner sovereign. The remaining 9 sovereigns were 3 middle sovereigns, 3 high sovereigns, and 3 peak sovereigns. Although Longao wanted to fight 1 against 10, the 10 sovereigns did not want to bully him with numbers. Even if they won in the end, they would be laughed at by the world. Because of this, Old Fatty took the initiative to attack. If Old Fatty could kill Longao, then the Blood Sea sect's face would be back. Longao, I want to see what you have to be so arrogant. 10 moves. What 10 moves? Old Fatty seemed to have yet to react, but the other 9 venerables and the others had already reacted. Instantly, they exploded. He's too arrogant. Hearing the discussions around him, Old Fatty's face instantly became gloomy. He angrily said, You mother***, how dare you humiliate me? You don't need 10 moves, I will settle you in 9. In his fury, Old Fatty's body has already rushed out. Both of them were venerable ones, so their auras were almost the same. Unless Longao used the universe's aura, he would not gain the slightest advantage by releasing his aura. However, Longao did not plan to use the chi of heaven and earth. Old Fatty was the weakest venerable among the 10 of them. If he used it now, wouldn't the others know? Longao wasn't stupid. A trump card would only be effective at the most crucial moment. In close combat, the 2 of them chose the most direct and violent way of fighting. Both of them said that one said 10 moves, and the other said that he could settle it in 9. Everyone was looking forward to this battle because only by defeating this person would Longao have the qualifications to challenge the remaining venerables. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have a chance, let alone deal with the entire Blood Sea sect. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them were already wrestling. Seeing this, everyone was dumbfounded. Was this a battle between venerables? It was like a fight between children. However, no one dared to underestimate the 2 of them because everyone knew that the stronger one was, the more dangerous this kind of close combat was. If one was careless, one would be beaten to death by the other party. It was precisely because of this that this battle was particularly soul-stirring. On the blood pool martial field, Longao and Old Fatty's bodies fiercely collided with each other. Punches and kicks flew all over the sky. Even if they were hit or kicked by the other party, the 2 of them ignored the pain on their bodies. F***ck, this is F***king close combat. What are the 2 of them trying to do? No one knew what the 2 of them were trying to do. Anyway, the 2 of them were fighting in close combat. Their fists were fiercely smashing everywhere. Every punch and kick was full of strength. In close combat, it seemed like 10 or 20 moves had passed, but in reality, only 1 move had passed. Regardless of whether it was Longao or Old Fatty, they were both genuine venerables of the void. Therefore, the fists and feet that they threw out were ever-changing. 1 move contained hundreds or even thousands of moves. It was precisely because of this that the close combat between the 2 of them was particularly dangerous. You want to fight with me in close combat? You're still far from it. I'm known as the invincible iron armor. Longao didn't say any more nonsense. His eyes were cold. The first move was just to test the opponent's strength. The main event had just begun. The Dragon God's arm and the Tiger God's arm were successfully merged at the same time. Longao didn't hesitate to throw out a punch. One punch contained hundreds of punches. It was ever-changing. There were fist shadows everywhere, as if they had formed a fist shadow air shield. Old Fatty didn't put Longao in his eyes from the beginning to the end. He also threw out a punch. However, this time, Old Fatty had obviously underestimated his opponent. The two of them smashed together violently. Fist energy shot out in all directions. The spectators were shocked. The Venerables weren't afraid, but those below the Venerables hurriedly dodged. They didn't dare to stop for a moment. Otherwise, they would definitely be killed by the Venerables' fist energy. This was the power of the Venerables. Old Fatty was sent flying by the punch. However, he relied on his powerful strength to withstand it. Because the fist shadows were flying everywhere, no one saw that Old Fatty was almost sent flying. However, Old Fatty's face was filled with shock. This was because he had never thought that the punch from his opponent would be so powerful. If he hadn't neutralized the force in time, he believed that he would have been sent flying by the punch. Old Fatty put away his contempt. At this moment, a dazzling light suddenly rose from his body. Seeing this light, everyone from the Blood River sect had a serious expression. This was because they knew what Old Fatty's sudden burst of dazzling light represented. Black tortoise armor. Looks like Old Fatty used his full strength. It seems like Longao is giving him a lot of pressure. Guanfeng nodded. He also didn't think that Longao could force Old Fatty to use the black tortoise armor in 2 moves. This in itself already proved something. The black tortoise armor. Back then, Old Fatty accidentally hunted a black tortoise. It was said that its defense was comparable to the dragon god. The black tortoise armor was extremely strong. Even a Venerables couldn't break through Old Fatty's black tortoise armor. This was also the reason why Old Fatty was the most difficult to deal with, even though his strength was the lowest. It was because of this black tortoise armor. Longao obviously knew that the armor that suddenly appeared on Old Fatty's body was definitely not simple. Chapter 290. Longao, I'll let you experience my black tortoise armor. Before Longao could react, Old Fatty's body had already dashed out. Not daring to be careless, Longao fiercely punched out with both fists. However, Old Fatty did not choose to dodge. He took the Dragon God arm and Tiger God arm head-on. Peng, peng. The sound of copper colliding rang out. Longao realized that ever since Old Fatty took out the black tortoise armor, even if he stood still, it would not be a problem for him to hit him. What a terrifying black tortoise armor. Longao finally understood why Old Fatty was so confident. Ha ha ha, you want to break my black tortoise armor? You're not qualified. Old Fatty laughed as he attacked. In this way, Longao seemed to be in a passive position, being suppressed by Old Fatty step by step. Seeing this situation, Guanfeng and the others laughed. They were very confident in Old Fatty's black tortoise armor. With its strong defense, Longao could only move around and take the hits. In the blink of an eye, 5 moves had passed. Longao did not have the slightest bit of carelessness. His fists were still fiercely punching out, each punch stronger than the previous. However, Old Fatty's black tortoise armor was too strong. No matter how Longao used his strength, he was still unable to break it. Could it be that he could not even take care of a Venerable? Longao knew that if he could not even defeat Old Fatty, then not to mention the 3 Venerables of the Bloodsea sect, the 9 Venerables, he could leave now. The enmity of his family was absolutely irreconcilable. Longao could not choose to give up. Since he could not defeat Old Fatty in a head-on clash, he could only stake it all. Longao was still fiercely punching Old Fatty. Old Fatty did not dodge at all. Instead, he used the black tortoise armor to block and punched back. Soul-subduing seal, underworld burning seal, and heaven burying seal were used consecutively. Longao hoped to use the destruction seal to corrode Old Fatty's soul before breaking his black tortoise armor. He had to admit that the destruction seal was very powerful. Old Fatty's face suddenly froze. He realized that in his mind, there was a strange power that was corroding his soul. What exactly happened? Not daring to be careless, Old Fatty immediately diverted his power to destroy this power. This way, Old Fatty's attack power was reduced by a lot. He was overjoyed. Longao did not let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Punch after punch, he viciously smashed his opponent. He already knew that his opponent's black tortoise armor was powerful. Longao specifically targeted Old Fatty's other areas. He did not believe that he could not smash Old Fatty to death. Around the blood pool, everyone saw that Old Fatty was only defending and not attacking. They were all shocked. They didn't know what was wrong with Old Fatty. Was he going easy on Longao? Master, what happened to Old Fatty? Guanfeng was the most talented master in the history of the Blood Sea sect. He was not even 50 years old, but he had already successfully broken through to the sovereign realm. Therefore, Guanfeng's position in the Blood Sea sect was very high. It could be said that he meant what he said. Old Fatty seems to be in trouble. I heard that Longao has 2 treasures that can change the flow of time. It seems like Longao has changed the flow of time in Old Fatty. Master, in this battle of the 9 states, we sent a void spirit to kill souls. It seems like we failed. Mph, that idiot Hu Ting. Thinking of this, Guanfeng was furious. He thought that the Blazing Flame sect would ally with other sects, but he never expected that the Blazing Flame sect would choose the Ghost King sect. Master, what should we do now? Everyone could see that in the battle between Old Fatty and Longao, Old Fatty was suppressed everywhere. He was forced to retreat step by Longao, as if he could be killed at any time. Waving his hand, Guanfeng said in a serious tone, "This is not the right time for you to make a move. Let's wait and see. Old Fatty has the Black Tortoise battle armor protecting him. It will not be easy for Longao to defeat Old Fatty." On the blood pool martial field, Longao successfully attacked Old Fatty, and his power began to erode Old Fatty's soul. Longao didn't give up on this opportunity. Both of his fists moved together, and one punch after another landed on Old Fatty's body like raindrops. Longao didn't give Old Fatty any chance to speak. At this moment, Old Fatty was depressed to the extreme. He couldn't figure out how his opponent did it. How could he erode his soul without making a sound? Just when Old Fatty was trying his best to resist the soul power that was invading his mind, Longao kicked Old Fatty's body to the ground. Without any hesitation, Longao released a soul attack. Under such circumstances, Old Fatty couldn't resist at all. With a scream, Old Fatty's body began to tremble. Longao didn't let go of such a rare opportunity. He flipped over and landed on Old Fatty's body. Punch after punch, he began to mercilessly smash Old Fatty. Black Tortoise armor? Let's see if your armor is stronger or if my fist is stronger. Longao used the Dragon God's arm and the Tiger God's arm to mercilessly smash Old Fatty. At this moment, Old Fatty's soul was severely injured. He couldn't care less about Longao's attacks. He was trying his best to repair his soul. 1 punch. 2 punches. 3 punches. In the blink of an eye, Longao had already delivered over 100 punches. One fell to the ground, and the other was riding on Old Fatty's body. When the surrounding people saw this, they were completely dumbfounded. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Originally, they thought that Old Fatty could defeat Longao with the Black Tortoise armor. However, the situation changed. Not only did he fail, but he was also being mercilessly smashed by Longao. Everyone was dumbfounded by Longao's attacks. They were all stunned. Even if Longao won, the way he smashed Old Fatty made him look like a hooligan. It was a pain in the ass. However, Longao ignored everyone. So what if he was a hooligan? As long as he could defeat the enemy, it was fine. Just like that, Longao smashed Old Fatty as fast as he could, especially the Black Tortoise armor. He didn't believe that Old Fatty's Black Tortoise armor couldn't be smashed open. The Dragon God's arm and the Tiger God's arm mercilessly smashed. Longao used all his strength. By the time Guanfeng and the rest reacted, Longao had already smashed thousands of punches, causing the black tortoise armor to cave in. Catcher, catcher, catcher. At this moment, cracking sounds came from the black tortoise armor. Following that, the black tortoise armor shattered. However, Longao still ignored the people who were rushing over and continued to smash the armor. Without the slightest bit of mercy, Longao smashed Old Fatty's head with his fist. In an instant, he had delivered dozens of punches. A pair of arms that could even break the black tortoise armor, let alone a head. In the end, Longao smashed Old Fatty to death. By the time Guanfeng and the rest arrived, Old Fatty had already been smashed to death. Old Fatty's eyes were wide open, as if he died with a grievance. Until the moment of his death, Old Fatty still couldn't figure out how Longao did it. Chapter 291. Longao, you killed Old Fatty? Looking at Old Fatty who was smashed to death on the ground, Guanfeng's face was gloomy to the extreme. Venerables were the most important existences to the Blood Sea sect. After all, there were only 10 of them in the entire Blood Sea sect. Guanfeng, I had a life and death battle with him. Do you want me to show mercy? If that's the case, then don't send out such trash. Longao's words were very arrogant, but in this situation, he did have the qualifications to be arrogant. To be able to smash a venerable wearing a black tortoise armor to death, this in itself already showed Longao's strength. Guanfeng was speechless. After all, he couldn't blame Old Fatty for this. If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame himself for being too arrogant. He originally thought that the other party had just advanced to the Venerable One realm and had not stabilized his realm yet. Old Fatty alone was enough to kill Longao, but the result was the exact opposite. Not only did Old Fatty not kill Longao, but he was also smashed to death by the other party. Good, good, very good. Guanfeng turned around and said, since Longao is so arrogant, the 9 of you attack together. Remember, don't kill him. I want him alive. If it was before, the 9 venerables would definitely not join hands to deal with a junior. After all, if this was spread out, they would be laughed to death. However, the situation was completely different now. The opponent's strength had deeply shocked them. There couldn't be the slightest mistake. The 9 venerables knew very well that Old Fatty had been smashed to death. If anything happened to the 9 of them, the Blood Sea sect would lose a lot of face. Longao returned to his position. As for Guanfeng, he had already left the martial arts field. No matter how angry Guanfeng was, the 5 great sects were watching from all sides. At the very least, he had to abide by the martial arts ethics. Otherwise, how could the Blood Sea sect compete with the Ghost King sect in the future? The 9 of you can come together. Longao didn't want to continue wasting time. If he fought them one by one, who knew how long it would take? In fact, the biggest reason why Longao chose the team battle was that once the 9 venerables took turns fighting him, he would be exhausted to death even if he could defeat all 9 of them in the end. This trip to the Blood Sea sect was not just for the 9 venerables. The enmity of his clan was irreconcilable. He had to destroy the entire Blood Sea sect before Longao would give up. Since you want to die, we'll fulfill your wish. Longao was so arrogant that he didn't even put the 9 venerables in his eyes. How could the 9 venerables endure this? It was simply unbearable. The secret cave could endure, but the chrysanthemum couldn't endure. Big Brother Dugu, Brother Long's arms seemed to be very strong. He was actually able to break through the black tortoise armor. Everyone present was an expert among experts. Of course, they could see how strong Longao's arms were. No matter what, Old Fatty's mystical tortoise battle armor's defensive power was very clear to everyone. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed that Xiao Chen had broken the black tortoise armor with his bare hands. Although Brother Long smashed Old Fatty to death, but 1 against 9, I'm afraid. Although Xia Jun did not finish his words, the meaning in his words was already very clear. No matter what, Longao was only 1 person, but the other party had a total of 9 venerables. 1 against 9, the result could be imagined. Dugu Bai was very helpless. He bitterly smiled and said, Brother Long always surprises me. I'm already used to it. Hearing Dugu Bai's words, Xia Jun also smiled. On the other side, seeing Longao smashing old Fatty to death, Ghost King Ao Tien was also very surprised. Everything that happened to Longao already showed how strong his talent was. If Longao became a member of the Ghost King sect, wouldn't it mean that the Ghost King sect had another expert? Gradually, Ghost King Ao Tien's attitude towards Longao changed. No matter what, no one would refuse a genius to join. Moreover, this genius was someone that his daughter liked. Ghost King Ao Tien had already decided that as long as Longao could defeat the 9 venerables, then no matter what the Bloodsea sect did, he would protect Longao. 1 against 9. Longao and the 9 venerables looked at each other. Before the battle even started, the powerful auras from both sides fiercely clashed together. Sparks flew everywhere, and everyone took 3 steps back. The battle between the 10 venerables, just the auras alone were extremely terrifying. At this time, Longao moved, striking first to gain the initiative. Seeing this situation, everyone was a little stunned, because they never thought that Longao would actually choose to take the initiative to attack in a situation of 1 against 9. Not to mention the others, even the 9 venerables did not think that Longao would take the initiative to attack. Their faces turned cold at the same time. Longao's arrogance was simply not putting them in his eyes. Kill. The 9 venerables moved together, like 9 small mountains moving quickly. Rumbling sounds could be heard, but Longao still chose to use both of his fists to attack randomly, and his speed was at its peak. However, the 9 venerables did not put Longao in their eyes at all. Each of them fiercely punched out. No matter how fast Longao's speed was, it was impossible for him to deal with 9 people. Just like this, Longao's fist shadows could only block 3 of the venerables. The remaining 6 venerables did not hesitate to attack Longao. A muffled groan. Longao only let out a muffled groan after being attacked by the venerables, but he did not retreat at all. He wanted to let the 9 venerables look down on him. This way, he would have a chance to deal with the 9 venerables and end the battle quickly. Longao clearly knew that he was facing 9 venerables at the same time. The longer the battle dragged on, the more powerless he would be. After being attacked by the 6 venerables for a while, Longao took out the God-sealing pearl and released a strange energy, enveloping the 9 venerables. Regardless of whether Longao's cultivation had broken through to the void realm or not, the spiritual energy in his body had already turned into spiritual yuan. Therefore, he used the God-sealing pearl to envelop the 9 venerables, directly locking them down. A terrifying scene appeared. The 9 venerables who were in a mess just a moment ago were suddenly frozen in place. They couldn't move at all. Only their eyeballs kept rolling around. Looking at the 9 venerables being locked down, Ao Tien, Guan Feng, Dugu Bai, Xia Jun, and Xia Fang seemed to know what had happened. Could this be Longao's treasure? They had only heard of Longao's treasure, but had never seen it before. When they saw it for themselves, they were incomparably shocked. Locking down the opponent, even if it was only for 3 seconds, was enough to affect the outcome of the battle. Guan Feng's face was gloomy to the extreme. Black lines appeared on his face, but he did not go up in the end. No matter what, Longao was fighting 1 against 9. The Blood River sect had already lost a lot of face. Now that the battle had not officially ended, if he went up to deal with Longao, even if he could kill Longao, what face would he have left? What face would the Blood River sect have left? Chapter 292. In the end, Guan Feng didn't make a move. Being locked onto by the other party, the 9 venerables were shocked to the extreme. They tried their best to break free. Longao calculated and calculated, but he was wrong. If it was a one-on-one fight, he believed that the God-sealing pearl could lock onto any venerables for 3 seconds. But to lock onto 9 venerables for 3 seconds at the same time was almost impossible. The 9 venerables broke free at the same time. In just 1 second, the 9 venerables broke free. The lock was broken. Longao's heart sank. He never thought that with his current strength, he wouldn't be able to lock onto the 9 venerables for 3 seconds. Longao had full confidence that if he could use the God-sealing pearl to lock onto the 9 venerables, even if he could only lock onto them for 3 seconds, he could kill at least 4 venerables in one go. All of this was broken, but Longao didn't just sit there and wait for death. With the lock broken, Longao once again used the God-punishing mirror. With the 2 sides of the mirror, he directly used the reverse flow of the yin side to change the flow of time. At the same time, the 9 venerables discovered that their speed was slower by a full 3 seconds. What kind of concept was this? The 9 venerables were completely stunned. First, their bodies were locked onto, then the flow of time was changed. They were 3 seconds slower, and the 9 of them had no idea what was happening. The God-punishing mirror changed the flow of time. 3 seconds. The flow of time around the 9 great venerables changed, and the speed slowed down by 3 seconds. This also meant that Longao's speed would increase by 3 seconds. For a life-and-death battle between venerables, 3 seconds was often enough to determine the outcome of life and death. However, Longao didn't choose to fight in close combat. Longao had already calculated. Even if he chose to fight in close combat, he could at most kill 3 venerables. Then, what about the remaining 6 venerables? Fighting 1 against 6, Longao still didn't have full confidence that he could kill 6 venerables in a short time. It was because of this that Longao used the God-punishing mirror to change the flow of time around the 9 venerables. Then, he chose to use a soul attack. Using a soul attack to attack the 9 venerables at the same time, there was a high chance of a backlash. After all, if Longao wanted to attack the 9 venerables at the same time, he would have to split his soul into 9 parts and attack at the same time. 1 divided into 9 and attacked at the same time. Longao was even more aware that he had chosen to attack the 9 venerables with his soul at the same time. If he suffered a backlash, the consequences would be unimaginable. Before Longao could launch his soul attack, the 9 supremacies had already broken through the flow of time and returned to their normal speed. Startled, Longao never imagined that his God-punishing mirror and God-sealing pearl would not be able to display the power they should have. Not daring to be careless, the wild devouring blade instantly appeared in his hand. Then, he ruthlessly slashed at the 9 people. Longao instantly superimposed the first 4 styles of blood-drinking 8 styles. At the same time that the saberlight slashed down, Longao's body also darted over. He targeted a venerable one and directly punched him with both fists without caring about anything else. The divine dragon arm and the nether tiger arm punched out as fast as lightning. One punch after another, the fist force was like a tornado, not giving the venerable a chance to catch his breath. When the other 8 venerables saw Longao attack, they were enraged and rushed over separately. In everyone's opinion, as long as the 8 venerables arrived, Longao would definitely choose to give up. But what was the result? Longao, who had already put away his wild devouring blade, completely ignored the attacks of the 8 venerables. His fists were still fiercely smashing at the venerable one. Speaking of which, this venerable one could be considered to be extremely tragic. He could not understand why Longao would not smash others, but only him. Brother Long is only attacking and not defending. This cannot continue. Big brother Dugu, what is the meaning of this? Hearing Dugu Bai's words, Xia Jun was very tempted. Dugu Bai's voice was extremely solemn as he said, Brother Long knows that it will be difficult for him to win against 9. So, Brother Long chose to only attack and not defend, not leaving himself any way out. Xia Jun was also a martial artist, and a powerful one at that. Of course, he knew what Dugu Bai meant. Only attacking and not defending, not leaving himself any way out, killing his way out from a hopeless situation. In other words, Longao was already prepared, either you die or I die. I can't do what Brother Long did. I cannot do it either. Ghost King Ao Tian's eyes were fixed on the battle in the distance. Ao Tian did not seem to have expected Longao to only attack and not defend, wanting to kill his way out from the attacks. Only attacking and not defending looked very powerful, but Ao Tian was very clear in his heart that if it was a one-on-one situation, Longao could definitely win. But now, in a 1-against-9 situation, Longao only attacked and did not defend. If he was careless, Even if he could kill 1 or 2 people, he would definitely be killed by the remaining people. Talent, strength, character, calmness. Longao's performance at this moment was very tempting to Ao Tian. There were several times when he wanted to make a move, but in the end, he restrained himself. Ao Tian was not a fool. Of course, he knew that if he made a move to help Longao, then Guanfeng would definitely help the 9 venerables. This way, it would not be a battle between Longao and the Bloodsea sect, but a battle between the Bloodsea sect and the Ghost King sect. The Ghost King sect was not afraid of the Bloodsea sect at all. But no matter what, this was still the Bloodsea sect's headquarters. The Bloodsea sect had 3 venerables. Once the battle started, the one who would suffer in the end would be the Ghost King sect. Moreover, Ao Tian still wanted to see Longao's performance. He was very much looking forward to seeing Longao only attack and not defend, and how he would kill his way out from the massacre. Zhong Mo's face grew colder and colder as he watched the battle on the training field. This was because he had never imagined that in just a few months, Longao had not only broken through to the Nihility Catastrophe realm, but even reached the Nihility Sovereign realm. What did this cultivation speed mean? Now, Zhong Mo already knew that his son was indeed not killed by Longao, but as for who the murderer was, he still had not found out. But Zhong Mo knew that no matter what, his son's death was related to Longao. It was because of this that Zhong Mo clenched his fists tightly, and his face was extremely gloomy. This time, when the 6th sect started the battle, before Zhong Mo could deal with Longao, the Bloodsea sect was 1 step ahead of him and destroyed the Scarlet Fire Town's Long family. Before he could react, Longao had already killed his way to the Bloodsea sect alone. Although he was somewhat unwilling in his heart, Zhong Mo knew that no matter what happened today, it was almost impossible for Longao to leave the Bloodsea sect. No matter what, Longao's death, no matter who killed him, would only be good for Zhong Mo and not bad. In the 5 great sects, some people hoped that Longao would die, while some didn't. But regardless of whether they hoped for him or not, everyone knew that Longao had killed his way to the Bloodsea sect alone. There was only one result: death. Chapter 293. On the Bloodpool Martial Arts Field. Longao simply ignored the attacks of the 8 great venerables and used all his strength to smash the venerables that he recognized. Punch after punch, there was no gap at all. Longao, you're courting death. Seeing Longao only attacking and not defending, smashing the other party with all his might, the 8 great venerables were all shocked. They all thought that Longao's brain had water in it. Both sides would suffer. Longao's intention was simple. He wanted to kill his opponent even if he had to risk being injured by the 8 supremacies. Because of that, the 8 supremacies sped up. They attacked from all 4 directions at the same time. Longao had no chance to escape. You! Without waiting for this venerable to finish speaking, Longao's merciless fists had already ruthlessly smashed on this venerable's face. His fists covered the sky and covered the earth. His fists were like raindrops, unceasingly and unceasingly. In a short few seconds, this venerable was smashed no less than several hundred fists. Dragon Tiger fists. Longao channeled all the energy in his body and threw out the last punch. However, the 8 supremacies had already closed in from all directions. The situation was right in front of them. If Longao gave up and continued to throw punches, he believed that he could escape. However, if Longao did not give up and insisted on doing so, there would only be one outcome. Both sides would suffer. What would Longao choose? Everyone was curious. They wanted to know what choice Longao would make. Would he give up the attack and choose to dodge temporarily? Or would he choose to continue attacking and cause both sides to suffer? Although Guanfeng did not want to lose a supremacies, it would be worth it if a supremacies could exchange for Longao's life. If it was in the past, Guanfeng would definitely not be willing to lose a supremacies in exchange for Longao's life. However, after seeing Longao's talent and strength, Guanfeng was very wary of Longao. With Longao's talent and potential, it was hard to imagine how strong he would be once he grew up. Guanfeng could not gamble on Longao's growth, nor did he dare to gamble. If he lost, not only himself, but the entire Blood Sea sect would be in trouble. It was precisely because of this that Guan Feng hoped to lose a venerable one. He only wanted to deal with Longao. The 8 venerables didn't know what choice Longao would make. Would he choose to make both sides suffer, or would he choose to temporarily retreat? Just as everyone thought that Longao would choose to dodge, Longao's actions completely shocked everyone. In the end, Longao chose to continue attacking. But Longao was no fool. He certainly wouldn't throw away his life for nothing. As he continued to attack, he also used the God Sealing Bead and God Judgment Mirror at the same time. 2 strange forces spread out, instantly enveloping the 8 venerables. Then, the 8 venerables were locked in place. Even the flow of time was changed, slowing down their speed by 3 seconds. Longao was full of confidence. As long as he locked in place and reversed the flow of time for a second, he would have full confidence in killing the venerables in front of him. With their bodies locked in place and their speed slowed down, the 8 venerables naturally knew what was going on. Seizing this rare opportunity, Longao didn't hesitate. He continued to chase after the venerables and fiercely punched out with his fists. The venerables were completely scared out of their wits. He didn't expect that Longao would be so reckless. He even chose to make both sides suffer in order to kill him. Was there something wrong with his head? Why did he choose him? The venerables were depressed to the extreme. He really couldn't understand why Lin Fan chose him. What did he do wrong? Just as the venerables were about to resist with all their might, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his soul. It was as if countless sharp swords had pierced into his soul. Under such circumstances, the venerable's state of mind was completely messed up. Moreover, the venerables didn't expect that Lin Fan would choose to use a soul attack. As the most powerful martial skill, not everyone knew how to use a soul attack. Longao was overjoyed that his soul attack had successfully damaged the venerable's soul. Without the slightest hesitation, Longao directly began to smash. The Divine Dragon arm and the Hell Tiger arm intertwined and smashed randomly. One punch after another, the fist force ruthlessly smashed on the opponent's body at the same time. The fist force also followed the opponent's body. The venerables couldn't resist at all when their soul and body were attacked at the same time. He fell to the ground and couldn't get up. Until he died, he didn't understand why Longao chose him. After successfully killing a venerables, Longao turned around and shot in another direction. Before he arrived, the fist force had already arrived. Seeing that his elder was killed, the venerables didn't dare to be careless. They instinctively dodged. Longao had already left quickly and escaped from the encirclement of the 8 venerables. After breaking the lock-on and time reversal, the 8 venerables didn't continue to attack. They just stood there in a daze, looking at the corpse on the ground. Not only the 8 venerables, but everyone else was also stunned. No one had expected such an outcome. Under the encirclement of the 8 venerables, not only did Longao manage to break out, he even killed a venerables. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, would they believe it? Longao's counterattack made everyone re-evaluate Longao. Brother Long didn't disappoint me. With such strength, he can look down on everyone below the Supreme Being level. Xia Jun nodded. He sighed at Brother Dugu's words. It was hard to imagine that Longao could really kill a venerables under the joint attack of 9 venerables. They lost another venerables. In addition to Old Fatty, in just a few minutes, the Blood Sea sect had already lost 2 venerables. This was undoubtedly a huge blow to the Blood Sea sect. Guan Feng seemed to be unable to accept it. He said in a deep voice, "Go all out and kill Longao." Just a moment ago, Guan Feng said that he wanted to capture Longao alive. But after losing another venerables, Guan Feng couldn't take it anymore. The Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect were fighting for dominance in the Tianju. Every venerables that they lost meant that the Blood Sea sect had less chances. At this moment, Guan Feng's heart was filled with anger. If he could, he wanted to do it himself. Guan Feng was a supreme being. He wasn't someone that venerables could compare to. But Guan Feng couldn't do it. 10 venerables teamed up to deal with Longao. This was already a loss of face for the Blood Sea sect. If he did it himself, the The Blood Sea sect would be laughed at by the world. The 8 venerables looked at the corpse on the ground and ordered the disciples of the Blood Sea sect to carry the corpse away. The 8 venerables glared at Longao. Among them, the strongest one, Cao Chong, said in a deep voice, "Longao, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. I will make you suffer the most painful torment in the world until you die. Your crimes are unforgivable. Thank you, Blood Sea sect, for letting me understand a principle. The winner is the king, and the loser is the bandit." Chapter 294. The winner takes all. Do you think you've won? The faces of Cao Chong and the others were extremely gloomy and murderous. They wanted nothing more than to kill Longao and tear him into pieces. Ha ha ha, since I can kill a venerable one and a second one, I can kill all of you. With just you. Before Cao Chong could finish speaking, Longao's body moved again. He still chose to take the initiative to attack. This time, Longao directly chose to use a soul attack. He split into 8 and the 8 soul powers chose to attack the 8 venerables. However, the result was the same. It was useless. If Longao attacked a venerable one with all his strength, his soul attack might succeed. However, once he split into 8, his power was greatly reduced and he could not cause any harm to the 8 venerables. Longao had already guessed this, so he was not discouraged at all. At the same time that both fists smashed out fiercely, Longao's hands began to form seals. However, the extermination seal that Longao used this time was clearly much stronger than the soul-suppressing seal, burning underworld seal, and heaven-burying seal. The 4th seal of the destruction seal was the doomsday seal. There were a total of 18 seals in the destruction seal. Long Fu had only taught Longao the first 4 seals. They were the soul-suppressing seal, infernal burning seal, heaven-burying seal, and doomsday seal. After successfully breaking through to the venerable realm, Longao could barely use the doomsday seal. When the doomsday seal was used, the 8 venerables felt their vision turn black as if the end of the world had arrived. Before the 8 venerables could react, Longao's figure moved. He punched out with both fists at the fastest speed. Each of them received a punch. The 8 punches hit the 8 venerables accurately. Although the doomsday seal was extremely powerful, it could only last for a limited time when facing 8 venerables at the same time. In other words, Longao could not kill 8 venerables at the same time. That was why Longao chose to focus his attacks on one point. The 8 venerables each punched. Then, when Longao punched the last venerable, he attacked with all his might. Longao once again chose to use a soul attack in order to hit the target. A blood-curdling scream was heard. Then, Longao smashed the supremacy ruthlessly. Because he used too much force, Longao's fists landed one punch after another. With a groan, the 7 venerable ones were all punched by Longao. They did not even have time to react, let alone help the other venerable one. The venerable one endured the damage to his soul and wanted to counterattack, but he was held back by Longao. Longao did not give the venerable any chance to retaliate. His fists continued to smash. The divine dragon arm and hell tiger arm intertwined, moving up and down at the same time. In just a few seconds, the venerable one was punched thousands of times by Longao. His entire chest caved in. Even when he was smashed to the ground, Longao did not choose to give up and continued to smash with his fists. Cruel and violent. At this moment, Longao seemed to have turned into a homicidal maniac. He clearly knew that the other party was already smashed to death by him, but he still waved his fists and landed one punch after another on the venerable one's body and head. The entire boundless blood sea was silent. Only the sound of punches could be heard. Seeing Longao smashing the corpse ruthlessly, everyone was moved. Even the 7 venerables were stunned on the spot. They did not know what happened to Longao. Brother Long's mind has changed. If we don't stop it in time, I'm afraid Brother Long will be occupied by killing and become a complete killing machine. Hearing this, Xia Jun was shocked. He asked impatiently, "Brother Dugu, what should we do now?" "I don't know. Actually, Dugubai knew very well that the reason Longao was occupied by killing was because his family was destroyed by the Blood-Sea sect. Endless anger and hatred could only turn into killing in the end. Longao, stop. Seeing Longao smashing the elder with his fists, the 7 venerables were completely enraged. Their own comrade was smashed to death in front of their eyes. This kind of humiliation was simply unbearable. Longao suddenly stood up and coldly looked at the 7 venerables in front of him. His voice sounded like it came from hell as he coldly said, "All of you will die." The venerable one on the ground had already turned into a pig's head. His entire body had swelled to 3 times its original size. It was impossible to tell that he was a human, he was completely a sow. A venerable one being smashed to such a state, just thinking about it made them shudder. Being stared at by the other party, for some reason, the 7 venerables could not help but shiver. Longao, with just you? Although they were unwilling to admit it, they had to admit that at this moment, Cao Chong's confidence was clearly lacking. If Old Fatty's defeat was an accident, then what about the other 2 venerables? Could it be an accident as well? The 7 venerables knew very well that the black-clothed white-haired young man in front of them was far stronger than them. Even if they were unwilling to admit it, the 7 of them still deeply sighed. The 7 venerables were already a little dissatisfied with the master's actions. The battle between the Blood-Sea sect and the Ghost King sect had already caused the Blood-Sea sect to be in a passive position. But now, the master was going to destroy someone's family for no reason. Not to mention Longao, if it was them, they would have done the same. If it was an ordinary person, they would have done it. But the other party was such a murderous god, a murderous demon who had killed 3 venerables in a row. Was it really worth it for the sect to do this? If today's matter was done in secret, then if the Blood-Sea sect wanted to kill Longao, it would simply be a matter of minutes. No matter what, the Blood-Sea sect had a total of 3 sovereigns. Any one of them that came out was not something that Longao could contend against. But now, the 5 great sects were watching. If the 3 venerables were to take action, the Blood-Sea sect would be thoroughly humiliated. Therefore, unless it was a last resort, the 3 venerables would not take action. Next, you. Even if Cao Chong was afraid, after being humiliated by Longao, he was instantly enraged and shouted kill. Then, the 7 venerables rushed up again. This time, the 7 venerables had learned their lesson. They did not split up at all, but attacked together. Doomsday Seal. Longao once again used the Doomsday Seal, but this time, the 7 venerables were already prepared. They closed their eyes and instantly opened them. Only their minds shook for a moment. Then, the 7 venerables continued to attack. Without the slightest bit of surprise, Longao turned around and quickly left. Just as the 7 venerables were chasing after him with all their might, Longao turned around and slashed with his blade. A shocking blade light instantly slashed down. If he had not dodged in time, this slash would have killed another venerables. The 7 venerables were shocked, and they were furious to the extreme. In front of all the people of the 5 major sects, the 10 of them had joined forces, and 3 venerables were killed consecutively. This kind of humiliation had reached the extreme. If they didn't kill Longao, the humiliation would definitely escalate. Chapter 295. It was a great humiliation. Longao had killed 3 sovereigns in a row. It was a great humiliation for the Blood River sect. Because of this, the 7 sovereigns chased after Longao and swore to kill him to save the sect's face. However, Longao seemed to have changed his temperament. This time, he didn't choose to take the initiative to attack. Instead, he blindly dodged. You chase, I run. No matter how angry the 7 sovereigns were, Longao relied on speed and time reversal for 3 seconds. Even if the 7 sovereigns used all their strength, they still wouldn't be able to catch up to Longao. Inside the Dragon Seal space. The reason why Longao didn't choose to fight the 7 sovereigns head-on was because at this time, Long Fu urgently summoned him. He was very curious. Longao simply did not know why Long Fu would choose to summon him at this time. After all, the current him was in the middle of a life-and-death battle with the Blood-Sea sect. If he relaxed even a little, he would fall into a state of eternal damnation. Long Fu, what's the matter? Master, the 3 souls you sent in just now, I've already refined them into soul slaves. Longao didn't react for a moment. When he truly understood, his face was filled with disbelief. Long Fu, is this true? Longao was extremely shocked. Because according to Long Fu's previous refining time, even if he could refine a soul slave quickly, it would still take 3 days. But now, it didn't even take 3 minutes. As if he could see the doubt in Longao's heart, Long Fu said, Master, this time, I've tried my best to refine a soul slave. So in a short period of time, I won't be able to refine a soul slave or corpse slave for you. Longao instantly understood the meaning of Long Fu's actions. Under normal circumstances, Long Fu would need at least 3 days to refine a sovereign soul slave. But now, in order to help him, Long Fu had shortened 3 days to 3 minutes. He would definitely have to pay a price. Long Fu had already mentioned that the price of refining 3 Martial Highness Realm soul slaves was that he would not be able to refine more soul slaves and corpse slaves for a short period of time. Under normal circumstances, Longao would never agree. However, the current situation was different. 3 venerable realm soul slaves were like charcoal in the snow to him. Thank you. Longao didn't stay in the dragon seal space for long. Moreover, there were still 7 venerables chasing after him outside. Longao, aren't you very arrogant? Why don't you dare to stop and fight us? Before Cao Chong could finish his words, Longao's body abruptly came to a halt, giving the 7 venerables a fright. Before the 7 venerables could react, 3 souls appeared out of nowhere and attacked the 7 venerables. Old Fatty and the other 2 venerables' souls. Looking at the 3 souls that suddenly appeared, the 7 venerables were completely dumbfounded. Everyone was completely stunned. Even Guan Feng was a little shocked. No one knew why the souls of the 3 venerables that had already fallen would suddenly appear and attack the 7 venerables. Without giving the 7 venerables any chance to react, the 3 venerables' soul slaves had already fiercely attacked. Not only did the strength of the 3 venerables not weaken, it actually increased by a lot. Moreover, the 3 venerables had undying bodies. No matter how the 7 venerables attacked, the 3 primal chaos couldn't be killed. Because of this, the 7 venerables were even more shocked. Especially when they saw the souls of the 3 venerables attacking them. Just what was going on? It was as if they had seen a ghost. No one had ever seen such a scene. The souls of the venerables that had already fallen suddenly resurrected for no reason and even attacked the venerables of the Blood Sea sect. This was simply unheard of. No matter how shocked they were, the 7 venerables and everyone else clearly knew that the 3 venerables' souls were resurrected and attacked the venerables of the Blood Sea sect. It was Longao's doing. It was precisely because of this that everyone was guessing one after another how Longao did it. When Ghost King Ao Tien saw that Longao could resurrect the souls of the dead, he was originally hesitating. But now, he instantly decided to protect Longao no matter what. Ao Tien only knew one thing, and that was that Longao was not simple. Ao Tien, you want to be impudent in my Blood Sea sect? Before Ao Tien could do anything, Guan Feng coldly said from the side. Now that the Ghost King sect and the Blood Sea sect were like fire and water, how could Guan Feng not pay attention to Ghost King Ao Tien's appearance in the Blood Sea sect? Therefore, before Ao Tien made a move, Guan Feng was already on full alert. Guan Feng, I must take Longao away. Ha ha ha, Ao Tien, are you joking with me? Guan Feng suddenly laughed out loud, as if he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. You want to take Longao away from the Blood Sea sect? Where would the Blood Sea sect's face be? Who would take care of the 3 fallen venerables? Today, Longao caused a ruckus in the Blood Sea sect. Not only did he kill the 3 venerables of the Blood Sea sect, he also caused the Blood Sea sect to lose face. If Longao left safely, the Blood Sea sect would not need to continue fighting with the Ghost King sect. They could just withdraw. Ghost King Ao Tien also thought of this point. After careful consideration, he decided to protect Longao. The 2 old foxes each had their own ulterior motives. Now, their target was Longao. One wanted to kill, The other wanted to protect. The two of them stared at each other, as if a battle could break out at any time. Guan Feng, you are not my opponent. Ao Tian, if the three of us work together, killing you is a matter of minutes. Why don't you try? The fact that the Blood Sea sect had 3 venerables was no longer a secret. The Ghost King sect also had 3 venerables. However, the problem now was that the other 2 venerables of the Ghost King sect had not appeared. Because of this, Ao Tian was very clear that once he attacked, the other 2 venerables would definitely appear. At that time, he would have to fight against 3 venerables. How could he resist the joint attack of 3 venerables? Although he was very confident in his own strength, Ao Tian would not fight a battle that he was not confident in. Guan Feng, your Blood Sea sect is really shameless. 10 against 1. With such a sect, even if you become the overlord of the Sky region in the future, will the world obey you? No need for this. Longao will definitely die today. No one can change this result. Ao Tian, the grudge between you and me, we will settle it later. You and me fight. If you win, the Blood Sea sect will withdraw. If I win, the Ghost King sect will withdraw. Idiot. Of course, Ao Tian would not agree to such a thing. Even if his strength far exceeded Guan Feng's, this was still the territory of the Blood Sea sect. Who knew if Guan Feng would play any tricks? Ao Tian had never fought a battle that he had no confidence in. This was true in the past, and this was even more true now. Hearing the other party's rejection, Guan Feng's face instantly turned cold. He had secretly decided that after dealing with Longao, no matter what happened, he would work together with the other 2 venerables. The 3 of them would work together to kill Ghost King Ao Tian. This way, the Ghost King sect would definitely be in chaos. At that time, the Blood Sea sect would be able to destroy the Ghost King sect and become the overlord of the Sky region. Chapter 296. Old Fatty and the other 2 souls suddenly came back to life, giving the 7 venerables a fright. They didn't know how Longao did it. Not daring to be careless, the 7 venerables attacked with all their strength. Although Old Fatty and the other 2 were on their side, they had betrayed them and attacked them fiercely. Either you die or I die. The 7 venerables naturally understood this point, so they didn't hold back at all. They wanted to kill the 3 soul slaves directly. However, as the battle continued to escalate, the 7 venerables' faces became more and more unsightly. The 7 venerables discovered that the 3 soul slaves were simply unkillable souls. No matter how they attacked, the 3 soul slaves would stand up again and continue attacking the 7 venerables in less than 3 seconds after being knocked down. Unkillable? Seeing that the 3 soul slaves were simply unkillable, the 7 venerables were completely scared and panicked. Imagine, no matter how they attacked, they couldn't kill the 3 souls, but the 3 souls could attack them continuously. The souls could survive, but the 7 venerables would die. Under this situation, the 7 venerables would be the ones to lose in the end, not the 3 soul slaves. While the 3 soul slaves and 7 venerables were fighting, Longao didn't stay idle. Things had already reached this point. If he didn't kill the 7 venerables, the other 2 venerables of the Blood River sect wouldn't be drawn out. Longao's purpose in coming here was very simple. That was to take revenge and wipe out the Blood River sect. However, Longao knew that if he didn't kill the 3 venerables and the 10 venerables, he wouldn't be able to destroy the Blood River sect. Now that Guan Feng had appeared, there was only one way to draw out the remaining 2 venerables. That was to first kill the 10 venerables, then kill Guan Feng. He believed that at that time, the remaining 2 venerables of the Blood River sect would definitely appear. Longao and the 3 soul slaves attacked together. The 7 venerables who had the upper hand suddenly fell into a disadvantageous position. They were suppressed everywhere. Longao smashed his fists. He didn't care who the opponent was. He would smash whoever he saw. As long as he could smash them to death, he would complete the mission. At this moment, the 7 Great Exalted could be said to be completely depressed. Furthermore, they were extremely depressed. If it was a normal soul rebirth, then it would be one thing. They would not be afraid at all. At the very most, they could just kill their opponents again. However, the problem now was that Old Fatty's 3 souls had not only been reborn, but their strength had also increased greatly. Moreover, they had an immortal body. As a result, the 7 venerables were entangled by the 3 soul slaves, which gave Longao the perfect opportunity. Longao, if you have the ability, then fight us fairly. Why do you have to resort to underhanded means? Hearing Cao Chong's words, the surrounding people all looked at him with disdain. They had seen shameless people before, but they had never seen someone as shameless as him. The shamelessness of the Blood Sea sect could be considered to be extremely high. With a cold snort, Longao fiercely punched out and said with disdain, "A fair fight?" He laughed in disdain and continued, "If it was a fair fight, the Blood Sea sect would not have sent out 10 venerables to deal with me. 10 against 1, your Blood Sea sect actually has the face to say that it was a fair fight. I really feel sad for the Blood Sea sect." While speaking, Longao instantly punched out more than 100 times. Each of his punches were extremely vicious. Hearing this, the 7 venerables' faces became even more gloomy. They could not even retort, because what Longao said was very true. The Blood Sea sect did not have a fair fight from the beginning, so they did not have the qualifications to criticize Longao. The Blood Sea sect, using numbers to bully the weak, shameless to the extreme. Such a sect actually has the face to talk about a fair fight. Truly shameless, disgusting to the extreme. Hearing Dugu Bai's words, Xia Jun immediately stood out and said, "Blood Sea sect, you might as well change your name to Shameless sect. I've seen shameless people before, but I've never seen someone as shameless as you. Blood Sea sect, you're so shameless. Do those dead ancestors of the Blood Sea sect know about it?" One had to admit that Dugu Bai and Xia Jun's words were extremely vicious. Dugu Bai and Xia Jun's intention was very simple. They wanted to disturb the 7 venerables' minds and give Longao an opportunity to kill the 7 venerables. If it was a normal situation, Dugu Bai and Xia Jun would not be able to disturb the 7 venerables' minds. But the situation right now was different. The 7 venerables were tightly entangled by the 3 soul slaves. No matter how they attacked, they could not kill the 3 soul slaves. Not to mention the 7 venerables, no matter who it was, they would not be able to tolerate such a situation. Because of this, the 7 venerables' minds were in complete chaos. Dugu Bai, Xia Jun, shut up. The Ghost King sect and the Sound of Thunder sect were in an alliance, so Dugu Bai and Xia Jun did not care about Guanfeng. Dugu Bai coldly said, "Master Guan, the Blood Sea sect is the leader of the alliance, yet they are so shameless. I really feel sorry for you." Guanfeng's face was extremely gloomy. If it was not for Xia Fang and the Ghost King Ao Tian, he might have already attacked. Under normal circumstances, would Dugu Bai and Xia Jun dare to act like this? "This debt, I will slowly settle it with you later. Anytime. But I still have to say one thing. The shamelessness of the Blood Sea sect is obvious to all of us. Such a sect does not have the qualifications to fight for Tianju. If I were you, I would leave as soon as possible. Staying here will only be a disgrace." Suppressing the anger in his heart, Guanfeng finally suppressed his impulsiveness. Ao Tian and Xia Fang did not say anything from the beginning to the end. It could be said that they silently agreed with what Dugu Bai and Xia Jun said. The more they agreed, the angrier Guanfeng became. The Conflagration sect and the Blood Sea sect were in an alliance. They would follow the Blood Sea sect's lead. The master of the Conflagration sect, Hua Shi, suddenly said coldly, "MH, whether the Blood Sea sect has the qualifications to fight for Tianju is not up to you. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. We will see who wins and who loses. But Longao must die today." Hua Ting was killed. Although there was no definite news, Hua Shi was certain that his son was killed by Longao. The hatred of his son's death was absolutely irreconcilable. Hua Shi had already decided that even if the Blood Sea sect decided to let Longao go today, he would not let him go. No matter what happened, Longao must die. Dugu Bai sneered. Disdain was written all over his face. He said mockingly, "The Conflagration sect and the Blood Sea sect are jackals of the same lair. I have already seen your shamelessness. There is no need to say any more nonsense. What happened today will soon spread throughout Tianju. This is the 9 provinces. At this time, the battle on the martial arts training field had already reached a white-hot point. Longao, with the help of the 3 great soul slaves, pressed forward step by step and ruthlessly attacked the 7 great venerables. He simply did not give the 7 great venerables any chance to breathe. The 3 soul slaves were also quite ferocious. Coupled with their immortal bodies, they could stand up again after being knocked down and go back and forth. The 7 venerables were not willing to face the 3 soul slaves, but they were still firmly entangled and could not shake them off even if they wanted to. Chapter 297. The 7 venerables were tightly entangled by the 3 soul slaves. Longao took advantage of this opportunity to ruthlessly and viciously attack. The battle had already entered its most intense state. Neither side dared to be the slightest bit careless. This was because everyone knew that if they were the slightest bit careless, they would fall into an irrecoverable state. The final strike. The 3 soul slaves had already forced the 7 venerables back. Longao knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, he could not miss it. It was because of this that Longao chose to use his full strength. This was the so-called final strike. The Annihilation Seal, the first 4 seals, the Soul-Suppressing Seal, the Underworld Burning Seal, the Heaven Burying Seal, and the Doomsday Seal appeared at the same time. Not only that, but Longao also used a soul attack. This time, Longao didn't choose to divide his soul into 7. This was because he knew that once his soul was divided into 7, it wouldn't be able to cause any harm to the 7 venerables. Thus, Longao chose to attack them one by one. He used his soul attack to attack Cao Chong. Longao had already said that Cao Chong would be next. A martial artist couldn't go back on their word, much less now. Cao Chong was using all of his strength to resist the 3 soul slaves. Moreover, he had to pay attention to Longao's attacks. Caught off guard, his soul was successfully corroded. With a pitiful cry, Cao Chong's body began to sway, as if he could collapse at any moment. This time, Longao didn't choose to use his fist. Instead, he prepared to use blood-sucking wild saber. The remaining 6 venerables knew that Cao Chong's life was at stake, but they were powerless to do anything. At this time, the 6 venerables were completely entangled by the 3 soul slaves. They couldn't break free, much less save Cao Chong. It was laughable to say that 3 venerables' soul slaves weren't a match for the 6 venerables. But, these 3 soul slaves had undying bodies. In any case, they weren't afraid of being beaten. They would just stick around and anger them to death. Blood-sucking wild saber. Longao focused all of his strength on blood-sucking wild saber. The 8 styles of blood-sucking instantly overlapped. Not just that, but in order to end this battle as quickly as possible, Longao used the 8 styles of blood-sucking wild saber light. He fused the world's aura into his saber light and even used the God-punishing mirror to change the flow of time. Time reversed by 3 seconds. Cao Chong, who was attacked by the soul, went crazy. He didn't dare to hesitate at all. He used all his strength to resist the power that was corroding his soul. But at this moment, Longao moved. With the force of his right foot, his whole body left the ground. Holding the blood-sucking broadsword in both hands, he stared coldly at the opposite side and slashed out. The seemingly weak slash actually contained boundless power. It was the most powerful slash Longao could make at the moment. His strongest attack was a shocking saber light. Everyone was stunned when they saw Longao's saber light. This saber attack had already reached the peak of the honorable realm. It was even close to the strength of a supreme being. If a supreme being wasn't careful, they would probably be killed by this attack. Longao, don't you dare! Seeing that Longao was about to kill Cao Chong, Guanfeng panicked. Cao Chong was the leader of the 10 venerables of the Blood Sea sect. The Blood Sea sect had already lost 3 venerables. If Cao Chong died, the Blood Sea sect would suffer a great loss. The terrifying aura of a supreme being was released, fiercely suppressing the martial arts field. Just as Guanfeng was about to rush forward, Ao Tian suddenly made his move and blocked Guan Feng. Ao Tian, what's the meaning of this? Seeing Ao Tian blocking him, Guan Feng's face was extremely gloomy. However, Guan Feng was afraid of Ao Tian's strength. Before this, Ao Tian had been pretending. His strength had already broken through the peak of the Supreme Being realm. He was only a step away from reaching the earthly Supreme Being realm. The 8 void realms. The gap between each realm was huge. Guan Feng, do you still have any shame? The 10 venerables of the Blood Sea sect against Longao alone is already shameless enough. Now, you still want to make a move? I didn't want to look down on you, but your actions are simply disgusting. Ao Tian's words immediately caused a commotion. Most of them were looking down on and ridiculing the Blood Sea sect. Guan Feng clenched his fists tightly. He was originally full of confidence, but he never thought that things would develop to this point. In just a few minutes, Longao had already killed 3 venerables. Now, he was going to kill Cao Chong. Guan Feng wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew that the Blood Sea sect couldn't afford to lose venerables. Every time they lost a venerable, the Blood Sea sect's chances of dominating the Tianju region would be reduced. They couldn't afford to lose any more venerables. Ao Tian, get lost, or I'll have to kill you. Ha ha ha, with just you? Ao Tian was full of confidence. Peak Supreme Being was invincible. Unless he encountered an earthly Supreme Being, who else could defeat him? With just Guan Feng? Ao Tian, don't forget that this is still the Blood Sea sect. If the 3 of us join forces, do you think you can leave the Blood Sea sect? The Blood Sea sect had 3 Supreme Beings. If the 3 Supreme Beings joined forces, Ao Tian knew that he wouldn't be their opponent. However, Ao Tian wasn't afraid at all. He sneered, Guan Feng, don't use 2 Supreme Beings to pressure me. The 3 of you can't kill me in a short time. If the 2 Supreme Beings from the Ghost King sect come, who knows who will win? Hearing this, Guan Feng hesitated. It must be known that among the 6 major sects, the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect were the strongest. However, the other 4 major sects were not weak either. They all had martial saints in charge. Once the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect suffered losses, wouldn't the other 4 major sects benefit for nothing? Ao Tian, you will pay the price for today. Any time. Seeing the Ghost King suddenly intercepting Guan Feng, Du Gubai and Xia Jun were delighted. It was the right decision to spread the news. Longao's talent and strength had moved Ao Tian. They believed that Longao's life was more than enough to save his own life. Du Gubai and Xia Jun let out a long sigh of relief. In the end, Guan Feng was still afraid and could only retreat. However, his face was full of ruthlessness. No one cared about the matter between Guan Feng and Ao Tian, because everyone was looking at Longao and Cao Chong. After all, Longao's blade was enough to shock the heaven and earth and make ghosts and gods weep. The shocking blade light was like a blade of tribulation lightning, fiercely chopping towards Cao Chong. Cao Chong was shocked when he felt the blade light. Just as he was about to dodge, he was shocked to find that his body was locked by the blade light. He couldn't move even if he wanted to. I can't accept this. Cao Chong's voice rolled out, but the shocking saber light had already slashed down, directly splitting Cao Chong in half. Perhaps the saber light was too powerful. Not only his body, but even his soul was devoured by the saber light. Both his body and soul were destroyed. This saber light shocked everyone. It was unparalleled. P.S. I accidentally fell asleep. Depressed. 6th update has arrived. Eat a bite and continue writing. The remaining 4 chapters will come one after another. Everyone, please support Little 9. Chapter 298. A shocking slash had killed Cao Chong's honorable. Cao Chong was the strongest of the 10 honorables of the Blood Sea sect. But even so, he was still killed by Longao with a single slash. This showed how strong Longao was. In a battle of life and death, in just a few minutes, Longao had killed 4 honorables. This was a huge loss for the Blood Sea sect. Guan Feng's face was so gloomy that he was afraid. Because of his anger, his body began to tremble. The Blood Sea sect could no longer bear the loss of 4 honorables. Did he really have to choose to admit defeat? Guanfeng knew very well that once he admitted defeat, not only would it be a matter of losing face, everyone in the Tianju would look down on the Blood Sea sect. If he wanted to continue fighting for supremacy in the Tianju, it would be an extremely difficult matter. Although the winner was the king and the loser was the bandit, the Blood Sea sect had already lost 4 honorables. They had more or less fallen behind the Ghost King sect. After successfully killing Cao Chong, Longao did not stop there. His entire body directly headed towards the 6 venerables. Out of the 10 venerables, he had already killed 4 venerables. The remaining 6 venerables had to be eliminated. If it was before, the 6 great venerables would not even put Longao in their eyes. But now, when the 6 great venerables saw Longao rushing over, they all retreated in fear. Longao had already killed 4 honorables, including Cao Chong. Could the 6 of them be a match for him? This situation was very laughable. 6 honorables working together were actually afraid of Longao? Looking at the strange scene in the martial arts field, everyone sighed. Everyone knew that Longao had already won this battle. Thinking about it, they felt that it was unreal. Longao actually fought against 10 honorables alone, killed 4 honorables, and chased after 6 honorables. The 6 honorables were tightly entangled by the 3 soul slaves. They could not escape at all. At this moment, the 6 honorables' state of mind had changed. They were not willing to fight Longao at all. They were even afraid. Frightened, the 6 venerables were flustered and flustered. Longao, we admit defeat. Seeing the 6 venerables being forced to retreat step by step, even if Guanfeng had to admit it 10,000 times in his heart, Guanfeng still knew very clearly that the Blood Sea sect had lost. Guanfeng sighed deeply in his heart. He knew that the Blood Sea sect had suffered a double loss in this battle. Up until now, Guanfeng still couldn't figure out why 4 of the 10 venerables were killed and 6 of them were pursued by a mere Longao. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Not to mention Guanfeng, even the rest of the crowd did not expect Longao to win the battle. 1 against 10, Longao killed 4 venerables. This achievement was enough to show disdain for his peers. Brother Dugu, Brother Long actually won. This is truly unbelievable. Xie Jun sighed. Before this, Xie Jun had always thought that Longao would be defeated and even lose his life. But now, not only did Longao not lose, but he also killed 4 venerables and pursued 6 venerables. Just thinking about it made him feel terrified. Nodding his head, Dugu Bai also had an astonished expression on his face as he said, Brother Long always surprises me. I am already used to it. However, this time, I never expected that Brother Long would be able to kill 4 venerables and successfully win. From now on, Brother Long can definitely become the number 1 venerables, the number 1 under the Supremes. Number 1 venerables. Number 1 under the Supremes. Xie Jun nodded his head in agreement with Dugu Bai's evaluation. Longao was able to defeat 10 venerables and kill 4 venerables by himself. This was already enough to show disdain for all venerables. Hearing Guanfeng admit defeat, Ao Tian was overjoyed. In Ao Tian's opinion, including everyone else, Longao had already taken his revenge by establishing the Blood Sea sect and killing 4 venerables. After all, 4 venerables couldn't be compared to a mere Long family. 4 venerables wasn't something a mere Long family could contend against. Things had already reached this stage. Longao's revenge had been taken. If it wasn't for the Ghost King sect and the Ghost King's sudden intervention, the Blood Sea sect wouldn't have let Longao go. What kind of joke was this? 4 venerables were killed. If the Blood Sea sect could endure this, they wouldn't be the Blood Sea sect. However, with the Ghost King sect's intervention, Guanfeng knew that it was almost impossible to kill Longao. But it didn't matter. Once Longao left the Blood Sea sect, he would have countless chances to kill Longao. Admit defeat. Saying these 2 words with difficulty. The Blood Sea sect's face had hit rock bottom in this battle. After this, the whole world would know where the Blood Sea sect would stand. Where would the Blood Sea sect's face go? The Blood Sea sect lost. 10 venerables of the Blood Sea sect actually lost against Longao alone? Xia Fang foolishly looked at the black-clothed white-haired youth on the training field. The fury in his heart erupted like a volcano. But because of the other sects, he suppressed his impulse. However, Xia Fang was unwilling to accept this. This was the murderer of his son. No matter what happened, Longao had to die. Longao, just you wait. I'll let you know the feeling of living a life worse than death. Xia Fang sneered coldly in his heart. He was preparing to turn around and leave. But at this time, Guanfeng suddenly roared in rage, Longao, I have already chosen to admit defeat, what else do you want? Not only Guanfeng, even the others were shocked. Because at this moment, Longao didn't care about Guanfeng at all. He once again shot towards the 6 venerables. His body was surging with killing intent. The wild devouring blade in his hand also slashed out. The 6 venerables tried to dodge, but they were tightly entangled by the 3 soul slaves. At this moment, the 6 venerables were completely flustered. They didn't dare to face Longao head-on. They only had one goal, and that was to leave this place. Seeing Longao's arrogance, everyone was dumbfounded, including Dugu Bai, Xia Jun, Xia Fang, and Ao Tian. Could it be that Longao had lost his mind due to hatred? But it had to be known that Guanfeng had already admitted defeat, which meant that the Blood Sea sect had admitted defeat. Longao had already killed 4 venerables of the Blood Sea sect. But if he wanted to leave safely, why would he continue to chase after the 6 venerables? Could it be that he was so arrogant that he could fight against the entire Blood Sea sect by himself? No matter what, other than the 10 venerables in the Blood Sea sect, there were still 3 even more powerful venerables. Even if Longao could win against 10 venerables and successfully kill 4 venerables, could it be that he could defeat 3 venerables? Longao, you're courting death. Guanfeng was still blocked by Ao Tian. He said coldly, this battle isn't over yet. Guanfeng, don't even think about destroying it. Ha ha ha, Guanfeng, you destroyed my Long family. Today, I'll definitely destroy your Blood Sea sect. I'll definitely kill these 6 venerables. Chapter 299. He had to be killed. Since things had already reached this stage, Longao naturally wouldn't give up. Guanfeng was tightly entangled by Ao Tian. Even if he wanted to help, he couldn't. At this moment, Longao rushed forward with his bloodsucker saber. Ao Tian, you're courting death. I think you're the one courting death. Ao Tian and Guanfeng suddenly started fighting, causing everyone to be confused. They didn't know why the grudge between Longao and Blood River sect would spread to Blood River sect and Ghost King sect. However, the other 4 sects didn't interfere. They stood far away and watched. Although they were allies, the other 4 sects couldn't wait for Ghost King sect and Blood River sect to both be injured and reap the benefits. Guanfeng and Ao Tian were both genuine supremes. The battle between the two could be said to be even more intense. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. Big Brother Dugu, it seems like Ghost King Ao Tian wants to protect Brother Long. Seeing Ao Tian suddenly make a move, Xia Jun was delighted. No matter what, Ghost King sect's strength was there. Among the 5 sects, only Ghost King sect could contend against Blood River sect. Nodding, Dugu Bai let out a sigh of relief and said, this is what I want. As long as Ghost King makes a move, Brother Long's life will be saved. But this time, Brother Long was too reckless and didn't stop. This matter is too troublesome. Until now, Dugu Bai still couldn't understand why Longao was so determined to continue killing. Even if Longao wanted to take revenge, he had already killed 4 of Blood River sect sovereigns. His revenge could be considered avenged. He should take this opportunity to leave. But what about Longao? Not only did he not do that, he continued to chase after the remaining 6 sovereigns. Not to mention Guanfeng and Blood River sect, any other sect wouldn't let Longao go. Longao held his bloodsucker saber and chased after the 6 sovereigns. Helpless, the 6 sovereigns could only stop fighting Longao. Although their state of mind had changed, the combined strength of the 6 sovereigns was still no small matter. Just like that, the two sides started fighting again. The battle could be said to be full of twists and turns. No one had expected Longao to continue chasing after the remaining 6 martial highnesses. Even more unexpected was that Ghost King Ao Tian would suddenly attack and engage in a battle with Guan Feng. Longao knew very well that it would not be easy to kill the 6 venerables in a short period of time. However, Longao was even more aware that this battle had to be ended quickly and couldn't be delayed. Otherwise, once the other 2 supreme beings were alerted at this time, they would be in big trouble. Longao went all out, fighting 1 against 6. This battle was world-shaking. The God-sealing bead and God-punishing mirror activated at the same time. A strange strength spread out in all directions, directly covering the 6 venerables. Under normal circumstances, the 6 venerables would only need a second to break the seal if they joined forces. But now, the situation was completely different. After successfully locking onto the 6 venerables and changing the flow of time by 3 seconds, Longao grasped this rare opportunity and ferociously hacked down with the blood-sucking saber. Crack! Without a doubt, Longao borrowed the power of the God-sealing bead and God-punishing mirror. The shocking saber light slashed down and directly killed one of the venerables. Even the venerable's soul was devoured by the saber light. The same shocking saber slash, the same saber slash. Another venerables had died. Looking at the venerables that were killed, everyone was completely stunned. It seemed that Longao was determined to kill the remaining 5 venerables. Everyone was looking forward to it. After all, Longao had killed 10 venerables. The strength of the Blood Sea sect had greatly decreased. But the Blood Sea sect only had 3 supreme beings and 10 venerables. Now that the Blood Sea sect had lost 10 venerables, only 3 supreme beings were left. How could the Blood Sea sect compete for Tianju? Everyone, including Guan Feng, knew this very well. Especially Guan Feng. Seeing Longao kill another venerables, he was completely flustered. Guan Feng knew that if he continued to be entangled with the Ghost King Longao, there would only be one result. The remaining 5 venerables would all be killed by Longao. If that really happened, then all his efforts over the years would have been wasted. How could Guan Feng not know why Ao Tian was entangled with him? The Ghost King sect and the Blood Sea sect were fighting for the position of Tianzhou's overlord. The Ghost King sect and the Blood Sea sect's strength were very similar. They both had 10 venerables. Now that the Blood Sea sect's 10 venerables were all killed, who would benefit the most? Without a doubt, the Ghost King sect would benefit the most from the Blood Sea sect's 10 venerables being killed. Thinking about this, Guan Feng hated the Ghost King sect and Longao to the core. His attacks became even more vicious. But the difference in strength between Guan Feng and Ao Tian was too big. It was almost impossible for Guan Feng to kill Ao Tian. Catcher, Longao's fists fiercely smashed the venerables. Punch after punch, in just a few seconds, the venerables were smashed into pieces and died. Another venerables died. A total of 10 venerables had been killed. Guan Feng was about to go crazy. He never thought that things would end like this. 6 venerables. To the Blood Sea sect, this was a huge blow. The Blood Sea sect had prepared for so many years and finally had the strength to compete for Tianzhu. But because of one person, a small venerables, all their efforts were in vain. They even had to withdraw from the competition for Tianzhu. How could Guan Feng accept this? After successfully killing the venerables, Longao didn't stop there. He continued to attack fiercely. Blade after blade, fist after fist, he didn't give the 4 venerables any chance to breathe. Longao's eyes were bloodshot. The killing intent in his heart was constantly corroding his heart and soul. The hatred of his family turned into a powerful killing intent, causing Longao's strength to increase again. Catcher! The shocking blade aura once again beheaded another venerable. Out of the 10 venerables, only 3 venerables remained. Seeing this situation, everyone was completely moved. It seemed like Longao had already chosen to fight to the death with the Blood Sea sect. Under the suppression of Longao's powerful aura, 2 of the remaining 3 venerables were killed. In other words, in just a few minutes, out of the original 10 venerables, only one venerables was left. Moreover, he was heavily injured and was fiercely kicked to the ground by Longao. Stepping on the venerables, Longao said coldly, "Guan Feng, stop." Guan Feng and Ao Tian, who were fighting fiercely, forced each other away. Guan Feng stared at the young man above and said coldly, "Longao, a debt of blood must be paid with blood. Today, I will cut you into pieces." Out of the 10 venerables, 9 were dead and 1 was heavily injured. The Blood Sea sect had suffered a great loss. As the master of the Blood Sea sect, how could Guan Feng not be angry? Ignoring Guan Feng's anger and ruthless words, Longao fiercely stepped on the venerables' heads. Catcher! The venerables' heads exploded. Just as Guan Feng rushed up, Longao's voice rolled out. "Guan Feng, I challenge you now. Do you dare to accept?" Chapter 300. Longao is challenging Guan Feng. Looking at Longao on the martial arts field, everyone was confused, wondering what was going on with Longao. Could it be that Longao was blinded by his desire to kill? "Brother Dugu, what's wrong with Brother Long?" "I don't know." Dugu Bai's expression was also extremely solemn. It wasn't easy for Ghost King Ao Tian to lend a hand. As long as Longao chose to withdraw at this time, he believed that it would be more than enough to save his life. One had to admit that Longao was indeed very strong. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was number 1 under the Supremes. But was Longao a match for a Supremes? Without a doubt, Longao was definitely not a match for a Supremes. Because everyone knew that the gap between the two was huge. They weren't on the same level. Because of this, Longao challenging Guan Feng, in everyone's opinion, Longao was simply courting death. Hearing that Longao wanted to challenge Guan Feng, Xia Fang's heart was filled with joy. This time, Ghost King Ao Tian suddenly intervened, giving Longao a great chance to leave the Blood River sect. But now, Longao's arrogance meant that he was destined to be killed. Longao was a Supremes, Guan Feng was a Supremes. A Supremes challenging a Supremes was like a child challenging a big man. There was no challenge at all. Everyone was dumbfounded, because no one expected that Longao would suddenly challenge Guan Feng, a Supremes. "You want to challenge me?" Not to mention others, just Guan Feng himself seemed to have heard the funniest thing in the world. "Guan Feng, don't tell me you don't dare." "Ha ha ha, why wouldn't I dare? I want to see how you're going to challenge me today." Moving with the wind, Guan Feng's figure stood firmly on the Blood River martial arts field. His face was filled with disdain and ridicule. A puny Supremes wanted to challenge him? "Longao, don't be reckless." Ghost King Ao Tian's face was gloomy to the point of fear. He had already made his move, preparing to take Longao away. But what about Longao? Challenging Guan Feng, could it be that Longao was really confident? It was impossible, and it wasn't just proud heaven who didn't believe it. In fact, no one would believe it. "Ao Tian, this is the Blood River sect. You're not welcome here, please leave." "Mph, this battle is unavoidable." Without waiting for Dugu Bai and Xia Jun to say anything, Longao had already waved his hand. Although he did not say anything, the expression on his face already told everyone that he and the Blood Sea sect would not rest until one of them died. Dugu Bai and Xia Jun knew Longao's character very well. Once he made up his mind, even 10 bulls wouldn't be able to pull him back, let alone change his mind. "Ha ha ha, what an arrogant kid. Longao, the two of us would like to see how you're going to defeat the master." At this moment, 2 terrifying auras approached from afar. Both of them were old men with white hair. Their bodies were thin and weak, as if they could be blown away by the wind. 2 Supremes. The 2 old men were none other than the 2 Supremes of the Blood River sect, Supremes Guan Tong and Ma Ying. Both of them were high-level Supremes. Together with Guan Feng, they were known as the Supremes of the Blood River sect. Uncle Ma." Seeing the 2 Supremes, Guan Feng bowed respectfully. Although he was the master of the Blood River sect, the 2 of them were the pillars of the Blood River sect. Moreover, Guan Tong was Guan Feng's uncle, his blood uncle. Looking at the 2 Supremes who suddenly appeared, Longao wasn't worried at all. He still stood there arrogantly, staring at Guan Feng. Longao, you killed 10 supremes of my Blood River sect. This hatred is absolutely irreconcilable. However, I'll give you a chance. Fight with Guan Feng. As long as you win, you can leave. Although it sounded like he was giving Longao a chance, everyone knew that Longao had no chance of defeating Guan Feng. After all, the gap between Supremes and Supremes was too big. Mph, I just made an agreement with Guan Feng. If I defeat the 10 Supremes, the entire Blood River sect will commit suicide. I wonder if the Blood River sect will fulfill the agreement. Longao's words caused the entire Blood River sect to become silent. Everyone had heard the agreement between Longao and Guan Feng. If Longao won the battle against the 10 Zun cultivators, the entire Bloodsea sect would commit suicide. But would the Bloodsea sect do that? Guan Feng and the 2 Supremes' expressions were extremely ugly. Committing suicide? What kind of joke was this? Guan Feng didn't say anything because the agreement between him and Longao was true. However, no matter what, the Blood River sect wouldn't commit suicide. Moreover, Longao would definitely die. Seeing that Guan Feng did not speak, the surrounding people began to discuss spiritedly. Most of them were mocking and disdainful. Everyone was very clear that Guan Feng would definitely not fulfill the agreement and commit mass suicide. No one would do such a thing unless they were idiots. Longao, the agreement between you and Guan Feng is impossible to fulfill. However, I'll give you a chance this time. As long as you can defeat Guan Feng, you can leave. Moreover, today's matter will be written off. Guan Tong's words didn't attract any ridicule or disdain. No matter what, Guan Tong was much stronger than Guan Feng. At least he dared to face it head-on. I don't want to fulfill the agreement. I'll speak the truth, unlike Guan Feng who only knows how to remain silent. Alright, you're straightforward. I'll fight with Guan Feng. If I lose, I'll commit suicide. However, if I win, the entire Blood River sect will commit suicide. Does the Blood River sect dare to accept my challenge? Here it comes again. Hearing Longao's challenge, Guan Feng and the other 2 Supremes' expressions changed. The more confident Longao was, the less confident they were. Even though they firmly believed that a Supremes couldn't defeat a Supremes. Longao, you're really arrogant. Ha ha ha, for a sect that doesn't keep its promises, no matter how many agreements there are, it's useless. I don't want to look down on the Blood River sect anymore. Guan Feng, let's fight to the death. I only have one request. No one is allowed to interfere in our battle. Otherwise, the Blood River sect will suffer the wrath of the heavens. The Blood River sect dared to violate the agreement with Longao, but they didn't dare to violate the agreement between the heavens and the earth. Guan Feng knew that if he continued to remain silent, the Blood River sect would really be finished. Without waiting for the 2 Supremes to say anything, Guan Feng took a step forward and coldly said, "Fine, you and I will have a battle of life and death. We won't rest until one of us is dead. No matter who wins or loses, no one will disturb us." Longao, I really want to know what gave you such great courage to actually dare to challenge me. Chapter 301. Guan Feng, you will die today. Longao's words made Guan Feng laugh out loud. Longao's successful counterattack shocked everyone in the surroundings. With the strength of a single person, he had killed 10 venerables of the Bloodsea sect. Who could compare to Longao? Everyone was sure that once Longao grows up, he will become a powerhouse of the continent. But now, Longao challenging Guan Feng was a suicidal move. After all, the gap between Honorables and Supreme was there. Because of this, no one thought highly of Longao, even though many hoped to see Longao's counterattack. Longao and Guan Feng didn't continue to speak. Both of them stared at each other. At the same time, a powerful aura erupted from their bodies and collided with each other. Beside the blood pool. Ghost King, long time no see. Congratulations on becoming a supreme warrior. Thank you. I didn't think that Longao's matter would disturb the 2 of you. Waving his hand, Guan Tong's face did not show any displeasure. He smiled and said, "Ghost King, the Blood Sea sect will withdraw from the alliance. The position of Tianzhou's overlord will belong to the Ghost King sect. You did well. With a Ghost King like you, the Ghost King sect will not fall in the next 100 years." One had to admit that Guan Tong had a high opinion of the Ghost King Ao Tian. Ao Tian was very surprised. He didn't think that the Blood Sea House would suddenly withdraw from the competition. Based on the strength of the 6 houses, it was actually the Blood Sea House and the Ghost King House who were fighting for the position of the ruler of the Tianzhou. Thank you. Ao Tian was not stupid. He knew what the Blood Sea sect's withdrawal meant. In other words, from now on, the Ghost King sect will be undefeatable and can easily dominate Tianzhou. Tianzhou is divided into 6 sects. They are the Ghost King sect, Golden Sun sect, Sound of Thunder sect, Blood Sea sect, Wind Thunder sect, and Flame sect. The Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect were the most powerful. Within each sect, there were 3 supreme warriors. Now that the Blood Sea sect had withdrawn, the remaining 4 sects would not dare to compete with the Ghost King sect for the position of Tianzhou. When one's cultivation broke through to the Supreme Being realm, the spiritual source in one's body would form a golden core, and all of one's strength would be concentrated within the golden core. The biggest difference between a venerable and a supreme being was the golden core. Once a supreme being used his golden core, he could almost instantly kill a venerable. This was the biggest difference between a venerable and a supreme being. Longao didn't dare to be the slightest bit careless. At this time, Guan Feng seemed to be a little impatient. With a big stride, he had already rushed over. In order to end the battle as quickly as possible, Guan Feng directly used his sovereign golden core. A terrifying spiritual source came crashing down, covering the sky and covering the earth like a violent storm. What a terrifying power of the sovereign golden core! At this time, Longao moved sideways and began to attack Guan Feng from the left. However, Guan Feng did not put Longao in his eyes at all. He directly struck back with his palm. Longao chose to meet force with force, because he wanted to personally test the true strength of Ji Zun. When the fist and palm collided, a terrifying palm energy and fist energy spread out in all directions. Before anyone could figure out what had happened, Longao's body was sent flying. What a shock! Longao never imagined that a supreme being's strength could reach such a level. He stopped abruptly and turned around to look at Guan Feng. He coldly said, "A supreme being is only SOSO. A supreme being is only SOSO." Hearing Longao's words, everyone was a little dumbfounded. Wasn't Longao too arrogant? He didn't even put a supreme being in his eyes. He was really boasting shamelessly. Ha ha ha, only SOSO? Let me show you the true strength of a supreme being. Just now, it was just a warm-up. At this moment, Guan Feng used all the strength in his body and rushed over again. However, before Guan Feng could get close, his face slightly changed. Guan Feng found that his body had been locked. Of course, he knew that it was Longao's doing. He didn't dare to be careless. Of course, Guan Feng knew that Longao had used this move to kill the 10 venerables. How could he repeat the same mistake? The powerful sovereign golden core crazily revolved. In just a short second, Guan Feng had already broken through the lock and rushed out again. Halfway through, Guan Feng found that the flow of time around him had changed. He suppressed his anger and forcefully revolved his sovereign golden core, frantically breaking through the flow of time. However, at this moment, Guan Feng let out a muffled groan as his entire body was sent flying. Plop! He fell heavily to the ground. Seeing Guan Feng's body flying out, everyone was shocked. They didn't know what happened to Guan Feng. Could it be that he was attacked by Longao? Impossible, it was just the start of the second move. Even if Longao was a supreme being, it was impossible for him to defeat Guan Feng in one move. Plop! Guan Feng's body made the most intimate contact with the ground. The 2 supreme beings of the Blood Sea sect looked at each other. They could see a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Could it be that Guan Feng was dead? Although the 2 supreme beings didn't believe it, they still couldn't sense any aura from Guan Feng. This could only mean one thing: Guanfeng was killed in one move. Longao killed Guanfeng in one move? The two supreme beings didn't believe it at all. However, when they saw Longao staring coldly at Guanfeng who was lying on the ground, the two supreme beings knew that something was wrong. Not daring to be careless, the two supreme beings quickly rushed out and arrived at the mountain in the blink of an eye. There was no need to check at all. The two supreme beings' faces instantly turned gloomy and were filled with disbelief. A supreme being killed in one move? You killed Guanfeng? Longao killed a supreme being in one move. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Shock was written all over their faces. Even if everyone didn't believe it, how could they not believe it when two supreme beings said it? Everyone foolishly looked at the black-clothed, white-haired youth. At this moment, Longao was like a god of death standing on the blood pool training field. Longao and Xia Jun fiercely swallowed their saliva. Until now, they finally knew why Longao was so confident. It turned out that he had nothing to fear. He killed a supreme being in one move. Just this point alone, who could be a match for Longao's strength? Not to mention dominating a supreme being, even sweeping away a supreme being wouldn't be a problem. Huorsha's face turned extremely ugly. He felt despair in his heart. No matter what, Golden Sun sect couldn't afford to provoke a person who could kill a supreme being in one move. He would be a sinner if he led the whole sect to eternal damnation for his own hatred. Among them, the one who was most shocked was Ghost King Ao Tian. Because he clearly knew what it meant to kill Guanfeng in one move. Even he couldn't do this. Didn't this mean that even he wasn't a match for Longao? What number 1 supreme being? What bullshit number 1 under supreme being? According to Longao's strength, he could look down on supreme beings. P.S. Today's 10 chapters are over. Xiao Ju is going to rest. Good night everyone. Chapter 302. Shaking his head, Longao's face was filled with disdain. Blood River Sect's master, a sovereign of a generation, is only SOSO. He couldn't even block one of my moves. If the Longao from before dared to say such words, he would definitely be ridiculed by everyone. But now, Longao killed Guanfeng in one move. Such strength was enough to make Longao arrogant. No matter what, the other party's strength was there for all to see. This time, Longao was very careful against Guanfeng, because the slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. The Fire Chelin had given Longao a total of 3 drops of blood essence to deal with the 3 supremes. It was precisely because of this that when Longao first started fighting with Guanfeng, he deliberately met force with force in order to cause Guanfeng to underestimate him. Perhaps because the gap between a sovereign and a sovereign was too big, Guanfeng didn't put Longao in his eyes at all. Being able to kill 10 martial highnesses and killing a 9 heavens supreme were 2 completely different concepts. Underestimation killed people. This saying was not false at all. Because of his underestimation, Longao used the Fire Chelin's blood essence to attack Guanfeng's soul and killed him in one move. It could be said that Guanfeng was a tragedy from the beginning to the end, the biggest tragedy. He was killed by a sovereign in one move. If this matter were to spread out, he would definitely be laughed at. No matter what, Longao's success in killing Guanfeng could be considered a fortune in the midst of misfortune. Longao let out a long sigh of relief. He was very clear in his heart that he couldn't reveal the slightest clue, otherwise there would be big trouble. Sovereign Guantong, Sovereign Ma Ying. The 2 sovereigns of the Blood River sect stared at the black-clothed, white-haired youth in front of them. Their faces were very ugly and incomparably gloomy. Longao, an ordinary disciple of the Scarlet Fire Town's Long family. Longao, a nobody who had risen less than a year ago. If it was any other time, a minor character like Longao would not even be placed in the eyes of the Bloodsea sect. But now, it was precisely such a minor character who dared to barge into the Blood River sect alone. Not only did he kill 10 venerables, he even killed their master. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, would they have believed it? Even though they were unwilling to admit it, both Supreme Ma Ying and Supreme Guantong had to admit that the young man's talent and strength were outstanding even in the entire 9 continents, let alone the Tianju continent. The two of them cursed Guan Feng fiercely in their hearts, because if it wasn't for the master exterminating his family first, they believed that Longao wouldn't have come knocking on their door. If Longao didn't come here, the house wouldn't have lost 10 seniors and 1 supreme. With the house's capabilities, they could have been the conqueror of Tianju. But now, the house had lost 10 seniors and 1 supreme. With the house's current capabilities, they had lost the right to be the conqueror of Tianju. Even though their hearts were filled with anger, the 2 supreme beings were still prepared to kill Longao. Because if Longao left here alive, the Blood River sect losing their conqueror status was a small matter, but losing face was a big matter. Longao, I want to know, how did you do it? The 2 supreme beings were very curious. How did Longao do it? After all, they had just sensed that Guan Feng's soul was destroyed. Could it be that Longao's soul was already this strong? How I did it has nothing to do with you. He couldn't be bothered to waste words with the 2. After all, he still had 2 drops of the fire Chiline's blood essence. As long as he used them properly, he had a chance to kill the 2 supreme beings. Longao's principle was very simple. If people didn't offend him, he wouldn't offend them. If people offended him, he would pay them back double. The Blood River sect had destroyed his own family, so he would destroy the entire Blood River sect. If he wanted to destroy the Blood Sea sect, there were 2 biggest obstacles: 10 venerables and 3 supremes. Longao had already killed 10 venerables and 1 supremes. As long as he killed the remaining 2 supremes, the Blood Sea sect would definitely be destroyed today. At the beginning, everyone thought that Longao would definitely lose this battle. Whether or not he would be able to keep his life was a problem. But now, Longao had successfully counterattacked and killed the 10 seniors and Guan Feng, shocking everyone. To be able to kill a supreme in one move, one could imagine how terrifying Longao's strength was. It was precisely because of this that everyone had a feeling that once Longao fought against the remaining 2 supreme beings of the Blood Sea sect, he would definitely be able to continue and instantly kill the 2 supreme beings. This was a bit impossible, but Longao had already successfully counterattacked. Since he had already counterattacked once, why couldn't he do it a second time? Big Brother Dugu, was what I saw just now real? Nodding, Dugu Bai also sighed and said, it's really hard to believe that Brother Long could kill Guan Feng in one move. Just with this strength, Brother Long has a place in the Tianju. Xie Jun naturally knew what it meant to be able to kill a supreme in one move. Surpassing his peers and looking down on the 9 provinces. It was because they saw Longao's strength that the 2 supreme beings didn't dare to act recklessly. If Longao really could kill them in one move, they wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. I'm officially challenging you now. Do you dare to accept? Longao challenging 2 supreme beings? Everyone was already used to it. No matter what, Longao had just challenged Guan Feng. Everyone thought that Longao would be killed by Guan Feng, but the result was the opposite. Longao killed Guan Feng in one move. Because of this, many people were used to Longao challenging the 2 supreme beings. In everyone's opinion, if Longao could kill Guan Feng, then he could kill the 2 supreme beings in one move. Guan Tong and Ma Ying's expressions were extremely ugly. If it was an ordinary supreme who challenged them, they wouldn't even put them in their eyes. But Longao, the 2 of them really didn't dare to accept the challenge. Just thinking about how Longao killed Guan Feng in one move, they were truly afraid. Silence. The 2 supreme beings both chose to remain silent. No one was an idiot. Of course, they knew that the 2 supremes chose to remain silent because they were afraid. However, no one despised or ridiculed them. No matter what, if they were in their place, would they dare to accept the challenge? The boundless Blood Sea was silent. No one spoke. The voice of Longao challenging the 2 supreme beings still drifted in everyone's ears for a long time. Both sides were in a deadlock. Longao, you're too presumptuous. At this time, an unparalleled and powerful aura suddenly soared up from somewhere in the Blood Sea Peak. It directly enveloped the entire Blood Sea Peak. Everyone who sensed this aura turned pale with fright. Each and every one of them looked at a certain place in shock. At this moment, a figure shot over rapidly. Not long after, an old man suddenly appeared in the sky above the boundless blood sea. He floated quietly in the void just like that. This was the so-called Emptiness Earth Sovereign. Chapter 303. Earthly Venerable Nothingness. Of course, all the warriors present knew what earthly venerable nothingness meant. Earthly venerable nothingness was a super-existence that was above honorable martial artists. It represented the ability to fly for a short period of time. In other words, as long as a warrior could fly, it meant that he was at least earthly venerable nothingness. The biggest difference between earthly venerable nothingness and earthly venerable nothingness was the ability to fly. It was like one was in the sky and the other was on the ground. There was no doubt that the one on the ground could defeat the one in the sky. Greetings, old ancestor. Seeing the sudden appearance of their ancestor, both Guan Tong and Ma Ying's faces lit up with joy and they bowed respectfully. Old ancestor Guan Hang? Others might not know this person, but Ao Tian, He Shu, and the others knew him. Guan Hang was hailed as the most outstanding person in the Blood Sea sect for 100 years. However, he had mysteriously disappeared 10 years ago. There were rumors that Guan Hang had fallen. However, it seemed that Guan Hang had not fallen 10 years ago. He had chosen to cultivate in seclusion to become an earthly venerable. Earthly venerables were divided into 3 levels. They were level 1 earthly venerable, level 2 earthly venerable, and level 3 earthly venerable. As for what level of earthly venerable Guan Hang was, it was unknown. Brother Dugu, Dugu Bai waved his hand. His face was extremely gloomy. He had never thought that there would be an earthly venerable nothingness in the Blood Sea sect. Both Dugu Bai and Xia Jun knew clearly what earthly venerable nothingness meant. In other words, as long as earthly venerable nothingness was present, even if they lost 10 honorables and 1 honorable, what could they do? An earthly venerable was enough to resist 100 honorables and 100 honorables. This was the so-called deterrent power of earthly venerable nothingness. We can't help Brother Long. We can only resign ourselves to fate. Dugu Bai sighed deeply in his heart. He knew that as a friend, he had done all he could. If Longao had stopped in time, this matter would not have ended up like this. Even when Longao had killed 10 sovereigns, he hadn't drawn out this super expert. But now, a sovereign had died. Moreover, he was the master of the Blood Sea sect. One could imagine how Sovereign Void would react. Ao Tian cursed Longao in his heart. Why did you go and kill Guan Feng? Now, you have provoked a super expert. Not to mention a small Longao, even the Ghost King sect could not be Guan Hang's opponent. To be able to kill 10 venerables and a martial saint of my Blood Sea sect by yourself, Longao, you can be considered the first person in all of history. No one doubted Guan Hang's evaluation, because Longao's achievements were indeed unparalleled. After this battle, regardless of whether or not Longao was able to leave the Blood Sea sect, his name would definitely shake the 9 provinces. Nonsense. Nonsense. Did Longao just say that Sovereign Void was talking nonsense? Everyone thought that they had heard wrongly. Longao was too arrogant. He didn't even put Sovereign Void in his eyes. But since things had come to this point, everyone was looking forward to what would happen next. Guan Hang smiled and turned around. His face instantly turned gloomy. He pondered and said, "Too good for nothings. They actually let an idiot run amok here." Guan Tong and Ma Ying didn't dare to speak. They just stood there quietly. They didn't even dare to look at him. Both of them knew that the great ancestor in front of them had a bad temper. If he said that he would kill them, he would kill them. If they were really killed, where could they go to seek justice? Ghost King, the Blood Sea sect has withdrawn from the Tianju contest. Go back and send my regards to your grandfather. Understood. In front of the Void Earthly Sovereign, even Ao Tian did not dare to be impudent. However, the Ghost King had nothing to fear. This was because not only did the Blood Sea sect have the Void Earthly Sovereign, even the Ghost King sect had the Void Earthly Sovereign. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. No one present was a fool. Of course, they knew what Guan Hang meant. Both the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect had sovereign void. The other 4 sects knew that they couldn't compete with the strength of the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect. After all, sovereign void's strength was there for all to see. It was also at this moment that the other 4 sects completely gave up and the Blood Sea sect withdrew from the contest. Without a doubt, the Tianju Overlord would be the Ghost King sect from now on. With sovereign void, the Ghost King sect's position would be unshakable unless the forces of the other 8 prefectures entered. However, Ghost King Ao Tian wasn't happy at all. There were 2 reasons. First, with Guan Hang's appearance, Long Ao would definitely die. There was no doubt about that. Second, with sovereign void in the Blood Sea sect, it would always be a threat to the Ghost King sect. Ao Tian was a typical leftist. If Long Ao was beneficial to him, he would try his best to protect Long Ao. If Long Ao wasn't beneficial to him, he would try his best to kill Long Ao. Senior, Long Ao is my son-in-law. I hope you can give the Ghost King sect some face for today's matter. No. Without even thinking, Guan Hang directly refused. What a joke. Long Ao caused havoc in the Blood Sea sect this time. Not only did he kill 10 sovereigns of the Blood Sea sect, he even killed a sovereign. If he let Long Ao leave smoothly, how would the Blood Sea sect's face be? How would he explain to the ancestors of the Blood Sea sect? As if he had already guessed it, Ao Tian still sighed deeply. Ao Tian, I've already given the Ghost King sect a lot of face. Don't push your luck. Otherwise, if the Blood Sea sect fights for the Tianju Overlord, it won't be easy for the Ghost King sect to become the Tianju Overlord. Brother Guan, there's no need to be angry. Long Ao is just a child. He did something wrong in a moment of impulse. At this time, a burst of laughter came from afar. In the blink of an eye, a black-clothed old man appeared in front of everyone. He looked similar to Ao Tian and Ao Xue. Seeing the old man, Ao Tian's face lit up. He bowed respectfully and said, "Grandfather." Waving his hand, Ao Shichong smiled and looked at Guan Hang in front of him. He said, "Brother Guan, we haven't seen each other for 10 years. You've really become an earthly venerable. Congratulations. Ph, Ao Shichong, you don't have to be like this. You're already a level 2 earthly venerable. You're the number 1 in Tianju. Ha ha ha, Brother Guan, others don't know, but don't you know? Tianju looks simple, but it's full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Not to mention earthly venerables, even on the surface, there are 12 heavenly venerables. It's just that these seniors are rarely seen. Heavenly venerable. Guan Hang knew that this level of super-existence could only be imagined. It wasn't easy to meet them. Another earthly venerable. Looking at the old man who suddenly appeared, everyone knew clearly that this was the earthly venerable of the Ghost King sect. According to Guan Hang, this earthly venerable seemed to have reached the level of a second-level earthly venerable. P.S. I have something important to do in the afternoon. I'll update the 3rd chapter later. The rest will be in the evening. Chapter 304. 2 Void Earthly Venerables. Among the 6 major sects, only the Blood Sea sect and the Ghost King sect had void earthly venerables. Ao Shichong, do you want to interfere in the feud between the Blood Sea sect and Long Ao? Guan Hang was not a fool. He knew that Ao Shichong would not come out for no reason. Was it because of a small Long Ao? Because of this, Guan Hang was extremely shocked. No matter what, his opponent was a 2nd-grade earthly venerable, while he was only a 1st-grade earthly venerable. If they were to really fight, he had no confidence that he could defeat Ao Shikong. There were 3 realms in the earthly venerate. The difference between level 1 earthly venerate, level 2 earthly venerate, and level 3 earthly venerate was huge. If Ao Shichong really wanted to interfere, it would be really troublesome. Brother Guan, Long Ao is only a child. He was reckless this time. Ao Shichong's words were very clear. This time, he had come to protect Long Ao. He wanted to see whether the Blood Sea sect would give him face or not. If it was an ordinary warrior, the Blood Sea sect wouldn't even bother with him. However, the identity and strength of the opposite party were there. The Blood Sea sect didn't dare to refuse. Dugu Bai and Xia Jun were overjoyed. They never thought that the Ghost King sect's elder ancestor would suddenly descend. This matter was really full of twists and turns. With the help of an earthly sovereign, Longao was finally free of worries. Ao Shichong, Longao killed 10 of my venerables and the sect master. Is this what a child would do? Without waiting for Ao Shichong to speak, Guan Hang continued, Longao must pay with his blood. No matter who it is, if they dare to stop us, we will kill them. Guan Hang's words were mainly directed at the Ghost King sect. Guan Hang did not care about anyone here, except for Ao Shichong. Hearing this, Ao Shichong's face gradually turned cold. No matter what, he had already come out. Guan Hang should at least give him some face. But the result? Guan Hang did not give him any face at all. The Blood Sea sect had already suppressed the Ghost King sect. Ao Shichong knew that if this matter could not be settled, even if the Ghost King sect became the overlord of the Tianju, there would be people who would not accept it. At least, many people would say that the Blood Sea sect had suppressed the Ghost King sect. It was because of this that Ao Shichong would not back down. Ao Shichong sneered and said, Guan Hang, you have to understand that the battle between Longao and the 10 venerables was a battle of life and death. Life and death are determined by fate. Victory and defeat are determined by the heavens. You can't blame anyone else. Guan Feng only has himself to blame. Could it be that the Blood Sea sect wants to play dirty? He was rendered speechless. This was because Guan Hang knew very well that this was indeed the case. Longao had openly defeated the 10 venerables and Guan Feng. Even he himself could not deny this. But was he really going to let Longao go? If that was really the case, what would happen to the face of the Blood Sea sect? He would definitely become the laughingstock of the world. Longao, I'm officially challenging you now. Do you dare to accept? Poochie. Hearing this, mocking laughter came from all around. Guan Hang challenged Longao? It was simply shameless to the extreme. One had to know that Guan Hang was a genuine earthly venerable, but he wanted to challenge a venerables. Moreover, it was a youth who had already fought 2 battles. Just this point alone showed that Guan Hang's shamelessness was simply unmatched. Guan Hang, I originally thought that you were someone, but now it seems that you're just SOSO. Guan Hang completely ignored everyone's contempt and even ignored Ao Shichong's mockery. He only knew one thing, and that was that no matter what happened, Longao must die. He must not let him leave the Blood Sea sect. It was precisely because of this that Guan Hang would rather be ridiculed and despised by others and insisted on keeping Longao. If Ao Shichong did not appear, then he could kill Longao at any time. However, the situation was different now. Ao Shichong of the Ghost King sect was right beside him. If he forcefully killed Longao, then Ao Shichong would also act. At that time, not only would he be in trouble, but even the sect would be in trouble. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he would not agree. Longao had never thought that the Blood Sea sect would have Void Earthly Venerable in charge. He was very clear about Void Earthly Venerable's strength. Even if he used the remaining 2 drops of Fire Chileen blood essence, it was impossible to kill Void Earthly Venerable. Seeing that Longao did not accept the challenge, Guan Hang's face was gloomy to the extreme. How could Guan Hang not understand Longao's meaning? If Longao refused to accept the challenge, could he really kill Longao by force? Ao Shichong on the other side was watching covetously. Once the Ghost King sect and Ao Shichong really fell out and wanted to protect Longao, then could he really block them? Guan Hang, Longao is unwilling to accept the challenge. Can we leave now? Leave? With a cold snort, Guan Hang suddenly asked, Ao Shichong, I want to ask you, what right do you have to intervene in this matter? Guan Hang, if you are not stupid, I will tell you that Longao is a member of my Ghost King sect. Ao Shichong, are you deliberately looking for trouble? Longao was a member of the Ghost King sect. Not to mention Guan Hang, even the others were a little confused. They did not know when Longao had become a member of the Ghost King sect. Ha ha ha, ignorant fool. If Longao and Aoshue get married, won't he become a member of my Ghost King sect? Am I right? Hearing this, Guan Hang's face was gloomy to the extreme. Under normal circumstances, if Longao and Aoshue got married, Longao would definitely be a member of the Ghost King sect. If that was the case, killing Longao was equivalent to going against the Ghost King sect. Longao was also a little shocked by Ao Shichong's words. This was because the Ghost King sect had not agreed to him and Aoshue from the beginning. Longao smiled helplessly. He clearly knew that the reason why the other party had protected him was because they had taken a fancy to his talent and potential. Otherwise, why would the Ghost King sect offend the entire Bloodsea sect for the sake of one person? However, no matter what, Longao was not a reckless person. Today, an earthly venerable had appeared in the Bloodsea sect. It was almost impossible for him to destroy the Bloodsea sect. Since that was the case, where there was life, there was hope. It was never too late for a gentleman to take revenge. As long as he could leave the Bloodsea sect alive, there would be plenty of opportunities for revenge in the future. Thinking of this, Longao did not say anything and let Ao Shichong handle the matter. Ao Shichong also began to release his aura. A grade 2 earthly venerable was no joke. Once the battle started, the Bloodsea sect would be the one to suffer in the end. However, the Bloodsea sect could be said to have suffered a great loss. They had lost a total of 10 sovereigns and 1 sovereign. If it was not for the lack of confidence, the Bloodsea sect would not have to withdraw from the battle for supremacy. Guan Hang was very unwilling. The Bloodsea sect had already withdrawn from the battle. If they could not even kill Longao, then the Bloodsea sect might as well just die. The Bloodsea sect could not accept such humiliation. Chapter 305. Ha ha ha, Ao Shichong, no matter how you quibble, Longao will definitely die today. As he spoke, Guan Hang's body had already shot towards Longao. The strength of an earthly venerable was extremely strong. With Longao's current strength, it was impossible for him to compete with him. However, before Longao could dodge, Ao Shichong had already made his move. The two earthly venerables instantly engaged in an earth-shattering battle. Just their aura alone was enough to scare off many warriors. Ao Shichong, my Bloodsea sect and your Ghost King sect will not rest until one of us is dead. Ha ha ha, anytime. He simply ignored Guan Hang's threat. No matter what, the strength of the Ghost King sect was there. Even if they provoked the Bloodsea sect, so what? Ao Shichong knew very well that even if there was no Longao's matter, the Ghost King sect and the Bloodsea sect would still go to war. Longao had killed 10 venerables and 1 sovereign, causing the Bloodsea sect's strength to be greatly damaged. Although they had temporarily withdrawn from the battle, the Ghost King sect was not stupid. Once the Bloodsea sect recovered, they would definitely make a comeback. No matter when, the Bloodsea sect was the biggest hidden danger. Since they had to face the Bloodsea sect in a life and death battle, why didn't the Ghost King sect choose now and wait for the Bloodsea sect to become stronger in the future? Because of this, Ao Shichong decided to kill Guan Hang. When the time came, the Ghost King sect would join forces with the other 4 sects to deal with the Bloodsea sect. He believed that the Bloodsea sect would not be able to resist for long. How could Guan Hang not know what Ao Shichong was thinking? Originally, they had the chance to fight for the position of Tianju. However, because of Guan Feng's wrong decision, the Bloodsea sect had fallen into a passive situation and was restrained everywhere. Guan Hang clearly knew that Longao had to be killed and the Ghost King sect must be dealt with. Otherwise, the Bloodsea sect would be in big trouble. The battle between the two earthly venerables started from the ground to mid-air. It was very exciting. Longao did not care about the battle at all. He rushed towards the 2 sovereigns. His intention was very clear. Seeing Longao's actions, everyone was completely convinced. The old ancestor of the Bloodsea sect, the earthly venerable rank martial artist Guan Hang, had already made his move. If not for the old ancestor of the Ghost King sect, it was likely that Longao would have been killed by now. It was not easy for the 2 earthly venerables to fight. Not only did Longao not take advantage of this opportunity to leave the Bloodsea sect, he even took the initiative to attack the 2 sovereigns. In everyone's eyes, Longao's actions were simply ignorant of the immensity of heaven and earth. Under normal circumstances, Longao wouldn't be a match for one supreme being, let alone two. Longao wouldn't even be a match for one supreme being. However, the current situation was completely different. Longao had killed Guan Feng in an instant. The two great masters were already scared out of their wits. They didn't even need to fight. They had already determined that Longao's strength was above theirs. Even if he couldn't kill them in an instant, he could at least kill them within 10 moves. Of course, the two supreme beings were afraid of death. It was because of this fear that they didn't dare to fight Longao head-on. However, Longao clearly didn't want to give the Blood Sea sect any chance to make a comeback. It wasn't easy for the earthly venerable of the Ghost King sect to help him. If Guan Hang and the remaining two supreme beings were killed, then the Blood Sea sect would truly be at its end. Thinking of this, Longao didn't hesitate to stake everything on this one throw and prepare to kill the two supreme beings. Longao's actions, in the eyes of outsiders, were reckless. However, in the eyes of Dugu Bai and Xia Jun, Longao was definitely filled with confidence. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so reckless. Before this, everyone thought that Longao would definitely die after causing havoc in the Blood Sea sect. But what was the result? Longao successfully counterattacked. Although they didn't know how Longao did it, one thing was certain: Longao really did it. Not only did he kill 10 supreme beings of the Blood Sea sect, he even killed one of their supreme beings. Such an achievement was enough to look down on the 9 provinces. Longao's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he had already arrived in front of the two supreme beings. Longao, what are you doing? The two supreme beings' question was really funny. However, in this situation, no one dared to laugh. They all looked at Longao foolishly, waiting to see what Longao would do. Although they knew that Longao wanted to kill the two supreme beings, everyone was still looking forward to it. After all, Longao was still a supreme being. Fighting 1 against 2, could he kill 2 supreme beings? Longao, you dare! Guan Hang, who was fighting with Ao Shichong, saw that Longao had already intercepted the two supreme beings. His expression changed, as if he had thought of something. Although he didn't want to believe it, he knew that Longao could definitely do it. If it was an ordinary person, not to mention killing 2 supreme beings, they wouldn't even dare to step into the Blood Sea sect. But what about Longao? Not only did he kill his way into the Blood Sea sect alone, he also killed 10 supreme beings and 1 supreme being. With such a violent temper, he could definitely continue to chase after the 2 supreme beings. Being entangled by Ao Shichong, Guan Hang was completely furious. The Blood Sea sect couldn't lose 2 supreme beings. Otherwise, he would be the only one left in the Blood Sea sect. However, Longao ignored Guan Hang and had already made his move. This time, Longao was prepared to kill the 2 supreme beings in one strike. Otherwise, if the 2 supreme beings saw through his scheme, it would be troublesome. He still had 2 drops of the fire Chilene's life essence blood left. As long as he could kill the 2 supreme beings in one strike, he would definitely be able to kill them. Under normal circumstances, the 2 supreme beings would definitely be on guard. But now, the 2 supreme beings' state of mind had changed. As they dodged, Longao's soul attack smoothly invaded their bodies and souls. 2 miserable shrieks rang out. Before the crowd could figure out what was going on, the 2 supreme beings' bodies had already collapsed. Killing 2 supreme beings in one strike? Looking at the corpses on the ground, everyone was scared silly. Longao's strength was too strong. Not only could he kill 1 supreme being in one strike, he could even kill 2 supreme beings in one strike. With such strength, wouldn't he be able to look down on supreme beings? Longao, I'll kill you. 2 supremes were killed right in front of his eyes. This kind of humiliation could be considered as an extraordinary humiliation. If he was unable to kill Longao, Guan Hang could totally commit suicide, because staying in this world would be a disgrace. However, Ao Shichong didn't give Guan Hang any chance at all. He was entangled with his opponent. A second-level earthly venerable was much stronger than a first-level earthly venerable. Ao Shichong was still holding back. Otherwise, Guan Hang's life would be uncertain. Ao Shichong, I'll F***king kill you. Ha ha ha, with just you? Guan Hang, all the experts of your Blood Sea sect have been slaughtered. From now on, there will be no Blood Sea sect in Tianju. When the people of the 5 major sects heard this, they weren't happy at all. Everyone knew that the Blood Sea sect had an earthly venerable. As long as Guan Hang didn't die, the Blood Sea sect wouldn't be destroyed. Sooner or later, they would rise again. After all, an earthly venerable was more valuable than 3 supreme beings and 10 supreme beings. Chapter 306. The Blood Sea sect was in a tragic state. 10 reverends and 1 supreme being, that was almost all of the Blood Sea sect's assets. But now, they were all slaughtered by Longao, not a single one was left. Just a moment ago, Longao killed the remaining 2 supreme beings. Since then, the Blood Sea sect no longer had any reverends and supreme beings, only Guan Hang was left. At this moment, Guan Hang was furious to the extreme. Every move he made was vicious, hoping to kill Ao Shichong. But Ao Shichong was still a second-level supreme being. It was almost impossible for Guan Hang to kill him with his strength alone. The battle between the 2 supreme beings had reached its climax. They could lose their lives at any time. Longao sent the souls of the 2 supreme beings into the dragon seal space. He raised his head and looked at the battle in the sky coldly. Longao was depressed. Although his cultivation had reached the reverend realm, it was difficult for him to stand in the sky. It was almost impossible. Not to mention him, even a supreme being wouldn't be able to do it. Longao, I'm going to tear you to shreds. Ignoring Guan Hang's threat, Longao suddenly said coldly, you destroyed my Long family. I have already said that I will destroy your Blood Sea sect, not leaving a single one alive. Hearing this, Guan Hang, who was in the middle of a battle with Ao Shichong, was shocked. The surrounding people weren't fools. Of course, they understood what Longao meant. He wanted to destroy the Blood Sea sect. If Longao had said such big words before, he would definitely be laughed to death by everyone. However, at this moment, not a single person doubted him. Let's ask, for a devil that could instantly kill a sovereign, massacring the Blood Sea sect didn't seem to be a difficult matter. Slaughter. Longao's heart was filled with killing intent. At this moment, Longao's eyes were red. His whole body moved with the wind. The Blood Sea sect, one of the 6 great sects, had the strength to contend with the Ghost King sect. The Blood Sea sect had over 10,000 disciples. It would be impossible for Longao to slaughter them all by himself. However, Longao didn't do that. He summoned his 3 soul slaves, his 3 venerables, and himself. Next, Longao began to slaughter the Blood Sea sect. 1, 2, 3. In just a few minutes, over 100 people from the Blood Sea sect had already been killed. As for Guan Hang, who was unable to extricate himself from the battle, his entire body was trembling with rage. He was so angry that his state of mind had changed. He, who was already under control, became even more flustered. He was even hit by Ao Shichong's palm, followed by another. 1 hour later, the 2 utmost exalted were still fighting. However, the current Blood Sea sect was filled with corpses. Blood flowed like a river. Corpses were everywhere. According to the strength of Longao and his 3 soul slaves, the disciples of the Blood Sea sect were basically defenseless. They were like meat on a chopping board, waiting to be slaughtered. Brother Long, that's enough. Seeing Longao's endless slaughter, Dugu Bai and Xia Jun were shocked. They both knew that if Longao continued to slaughter like this, he would definitely be devoured by the slaughter. At that time, he would definitely become a killing tool. As friends, the 2 of them naturally didn't want to see Longao become a killing tool. However, the result was, he suddenly turned around. He had already slaughtered over 10,000 people. He had practically slaughtered the entire Blood Sea sect. Longao's eyes were bloodshot as he looked at Dugu Bai and Xia Jun. He coldly said, "You will all die." Before Dugu Bai and Xia Jun could react, Longao's corpse had already rushed over. It was a killing move. With Longao's current strength, he was already the #1 person under the earthly exalted realm. With just the two of them, it was impossible for them to be a match for him. Dugu Bai and Xia Jun were shocked. Of course, they knew what had happened. The two of them didn't dare to be careless. They quickly turned around and left. At this moment, perhaps because Longao had killed too much, he was completely devoured by the slaughter. In his eyes, there was only killing, killing, killing. Holding the bloodsucker broadsword, Longao crazily slaughtered the people from the 5 major sects. No matter who they were, he killed without mercy. No one could react to this sudden change. Longao's speed and strength were too terrifying. The people from the 5 major sects couldn't even dodge in time and were directly devoured by Longao. Longao was like a killing god. He killed everyone he saw, no matter who they were. If Longao wasn't strong, then the 5 major sects could at least kill him and protect themselves. However, the problem now was that Longao and the 3 soul slaves were practically invincible. Even Sir Fire Stone couldn't resist. If he hadn't run fast enough, he would have been killed by now. Dugu Bai and Xia Jun barely escaped. Looking at the corpses all over the ground and Longao who was still slaughtering the 5 major sects, their faces were so gloomy that water could drip from them. The two of them never thought that Longao would really be devoured by the slaughter and become a killing tool. Although the two of them were unwilling to admit it, they still knew that Longao was no longer the brother Long of the past. Since he had become a killing tool and slaughtered the 6 major sects, then from now on, Longao would be the common enemy of the 6 major sects, including the Sound of Thunder sect. Brother Dugu, what should we do now? Unless it was a last resort, Xia Jun definitely wouldn't want to lose this friend. Shaking his head, Dugu Bai said, Brother Long has been devoured by the slaughter and has become a killing tool. There's no way for him to recover unless he's killed. However, with Longao's current strength, unless the 2 earthly venerables take action personally, no one can defeat him. Longao. Dugu Bai didn't continue to call him Brother Longao. Instead, he directly called him Longao. Xia Jun was shocked, because he already knew that even Dugu Bai had chosen to give up on Brother Long. Could it be that Brother Long would definitely die? Ao Shichong, Longao has now become a killing tool. If you and I continue to fight, once Longao leaves the Blood River sect, not to mention the other sects, even your Ghost King sect will suffer. You don't want to see your Ghost King sect being slaughtered, right? Ao Shichong, who was originally prepared to kill Guan Hang, heard this and his face became extremely gloomy. This was because he never thought that Longao would suddenly be devoured by the slaughter and become a killing tool. Just now, Longao had not only slaughtered the disciples of the Blood River sect, but also the disciples of the 5 major sects. If this situation continued, just as Guan Hang said, the Ghost King sect would not be spared. Ao Shichong cursed fiercely in his heart. He knew very well that the reason why Longao had become a killing tool was all because of the Blood River sect. However, no matter what, Longao had now become a killing tool. If he didn't stop it early, the consequences would be unimaginable. In the end, both of them stopped. Looking down at Longao, who was still slaughtering the 6 major sects, Guan Hang suddenly asked, Are you going to do it, or should I? P.S. I just came back. Xiao Ju, go and write immediately. Try to finish all the updates before 12. Chapter 307. Ao Shichong waved his hand. He was really unwilling to kill Longao. Ao Shichong was very optimistic about Longao's talent and potential. If he could recruit this person into the Ghost King sect, then this person's future would be limitless. But now the situation was completely different. Longao had been devoured by the massacre. If he was not killed, there was no doubt that Longao would become a killing tool. Ha ha ha, good. Guan Hang was excited to the extreme. He had thought that with Ao Shichong's intervention, it would be impossible to kill Longao today. However, things had taken a turn for the worse. Longao had been slaughtered and swallowed, and had become a tool of slaughter. Before he arrived, His powerful aura had already suppressed Guanhang. Longao was directly locked on by his aura. There was no doubt that Longao was no match for Guanhang. But at this moment, Longao did something that shocked everyone. 9 Needles Sealing Spirit. Many people knew about Longao's 9 Needles Sealing Spirit. It was because of 9 Needles Sealing Spirit that Longao defeated Zhong Zhihang and took a blow from Zhong Mo. One could imagine how powerful 9 Needles Sealing Spirit was. 9 Needles Sealing Spirit could instantly improve a warrior's strength. According to Longao's current strength, he could already kill a Supreme Master. If he continued to use 9 Needles Sealing Spirit, how far could his strength break through? If Longao was at the peak of the Dao Ancestor, it was almost impossible for him to break through to the Void Realm with 9 Needles Sealing Spirit. But Longao used Fire Kailin's strength to break through to the Venerable Realm. If he used 9 Needles Sealing Spirit, it would not be difficult for him to break through to the peak of the Supreme Master. But Longao had already broken through to the Venerable Realm. If he continued to use 9 Needles Sealing Spirit, the consequences would be unimaginable. If Longao was awake, he would definitely not use 9 Needles Sealing Spirit. But now, Longao had been devoured by the massacre and was in a delirious state. 9 Needles Sealing Spirit broke through to the peak of the Supreme Master in an instant. If Longao could break through to the earthly Venerable Realm with the help of the 9 Needles of God Sealing, then killing Guanhang would be a piece of cake. However, the 9 Needles investiture technique was not omnipotent. In the end, Longao remained at the peak of the Supreme Martial Artist Realm. Longao completely ignored Guanhang and rushed out as well. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were already engaged in a fierce battle. Longao was not afraid of death at all. He chose the fiercest and wildest way of fighting, close combat. Guanhang was also shocked, but even if the other party had used some kind of secret technique to break through to the Supreme Being level, a Supreme Being would always be a Supreme Being. With his current strength, Longao was still nothing in his eyes. Longao, you're courting death. At this moment, Longao didn't care about anything else. He only knew the word kill in his heart. Suddenly, the roars of a dragon and a tiger filled the air above the boundless blood sea. An enormous black dragon and an enormous black tiger appeared, glaring at Guanhang. A dragon and a tiger. Everyone was dumbfounded by the sudden appearance of the dragon and tiger. In an instant, everyone understood what was going on. Longao was a dragon warrior. Dragon warrior was a mark unique to the Long family. Long family was one of the strongest powers in the martial heaven continent. Dragon warriors were also the strongest existences in the martial heaven continent. Without a doubt, to become a dragon warrior, one had to be a disciple of the 3rd rank or above of the Long family. Only then would they have the chance to enter the Dragon Valley and obtain companions. However, Longao was only a disciple of the Scarlet Fire Town's Long family. How could he enter the Dragon Valley and become a dragon warrior? Seeing the dragon and tiger suddenly appear, Guanhang didn't feel the slightest fear. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised. Although he didn't dare to touch the dragon, he dared to touch the tiger. The dragon and tiger roared. One dragon and one tiger stood on Longao's left and right. At this moment, everyone knew that Longao was a dragon warrior. This time, Longao chose to take the initiative to attack. One man, one dragon, and one tiger shot out. Before they even arrived, 3 powerful auras intertwined, fiercely suppressing Guanhang. However, Guanhang didn't feel the slightest fear. Instead, he confidently attacked. An earthly venerable would always be an earthly venerable. His strength was unmatched. Not far away, Ao Shichong, who was staring at Longao, sighed deeply. If such a heavenly genius joined the Ghost King sect, he believed that in less than 20 years, the Ghost King sect would dominate the Tianju continent. It wouldn't even be a problem for them to enter the 9 continents. However, all of this was just a fantasy. Longao had already been devoured by slaughter. He had become a tool of slaughter. Only by killing him could they stop him. Otherwise, Longao would become a scourge of the Tianju continent. A dragon warrior who could instantly kill a martial saint and possessed a powerful treasure. All of this was enough to prove Longao's talent and potential. It was such a pity for Longao. Dugu Bai and Xia Jun stared at Longao. Their faces were filled with regret and helplessness. As friends, they could only watch and not do anything. They felt guilty towards their friends. Brother Dugu, are we just going to watch Brother Long get killed? What else can we do? Dugu Bai's words were filled with helplessness. After all, the opponent was an earthly venerable. Moreover, Longao had already become a tool of slaughter. Dugu Bai clearly knew that even if Longao wasn't killed by Guanhang now, he would be killed by the 6 major sects. Longao was too reckless. If he had stopped earlier, he wouldn't have ended up like this. Xiao Jun, let's go. Brother Dugu. Dugu Bai waved his hand. He also didn't want to give up on Longao. However, under these circumstances, even if he didn't want to give up, what else could he do? In the end, Dugu Bai and Xia Jun chose to leave. In the field, the two sides were already engaged in a fierce battle. It had to be said that the combination of dragon and tiger instantly increased their power. However, they were still no match for an earthly venerable. They were forced back step by step. Longao's eyes were red. He wore black clothes, had white hair, and 2 white eyebrows. His entire body was covered in blood. He looked like the god of slaughter. Longao, go to hell. Seeing Guanhang attacking Longao with all his might, Long Ming and Long Qiong blocked in front of Longao. After being attacked by Guanhang, the 2 spiritual beasts spat out blood and turned into 2 rays of light, entering Longao's arms. Guanhang didn't expect that he would injure the giant dragon. However, at least the giant dragon didn't die. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. Although he didn't put the Scarlet Fire Town's Long family in his eyes, the Long family was different. The strength of the Long family wasn't something the Blood Sea sect could compare to. Even if all the sects in the 9 provinces were combined, they still wouldn't be a match for the Long family. However, since things had already reached this stage, Guanhang naturally wouldn't let Longao go so easily. Therefore, each of his attacks was more vicious than the last. He heavily injured Longao, making him look like neither a human nor a ghost. Go to hell! At this moment, Guanhang suddenly roared. He gathered all the energy in his body and attacked Longao with all his might. Longao, who was already in a half-dead state, was hit hard and fell into the blood pool. He created a ripple and disappeared without a trace. Chapter 308. Blood Sea Sect. The boundless Blood Sea was known as the Blood Sea sect's most sacred place for cultivation. Normal disciples were not allowed to enter. However, no one knew that the boundless Blood Sea sect was listed as a forbidden area because no matter who it was, they could not stay in the boundless Blood Sea for too long. Otherwise, they would be corroded by the blood pool. The blood pool in the boundless Blood Sea was the most mysterious place in the Blood Sea sect. No matter who it was, as long as they fell in, they would die without a doubt. Even their bones would not be found. Longao caused a ruckus in the Blood Sea sect. He killed 10 honorables and 3 sovereigns in the boundless Blood Sea. In the blink of an eye, he had shaken the entire Tianju, and even the 9 states. Those who received the news all raised their thumbs in admiration of Longao. After all, the Blood Sea sect was the leader of the 6 sects, and their strength was comparable to the Ghost King sect. Ignoring Longao's strength, his courage alone was enough to look down on his peers in the 9 states. To be able to kill 3 sovereigns and 10 honorables in an instant, Longao instantly became the idol of all young people. He also naturally became the number 1 on the 9 states ranking. Regarding this point, the thousands of people on the 9 leaderboards did not have the slightest objection. This was because even if it was Long Potian, Dugu Bai, and the other first rankers on the leaderboards, would they be able to do what Longao had done? However, in the end, Longao still fell. The 6 sects spread the news that after Longao killed 10 honorables and 3 sovereigns, he did not stop there. Instead, he began to slaughter the entire Blood Sea sect. In the end, he even began to slaughter the disciples of the 5 sects. In the end, Longao was devoured by the slaughter and became a tool of slaughter. Not only that, the Ghost King sect's ancestor chose to give up. In the end, the Blood Sea sect's ancestor, an earthly honorable, personally killed Longao. Even so, Longao still shook the entire 9 states. After this battle, the Blood Sea sect was greatly weakened. All of their experts were killed, leaving only one earthly honorable. However, the Blood Sea sect still lost the right to fight for the Tianju. Of the 6 major sects, the Blood Sea sect had already chosen to withdraw. The other 4 major sects naturally did not dare to compete with the Ghost King sect. However, the Ghost King sect had an earthly venerable rank martial artist holding the fort. They could easily wipe out the 4 major sects. Only those who were blind would fall out with the Ghost King sect. Longao's ruckus at the Blood River sect not only affected himself, but also affected the entire structure of the Sky region. In a short span of 3 days, the Ghost King sect had become the number 1 sect in Tianju. Furthermore, the 6 major sects had formed an alliance. Ghost King Ao Tian had become the first leader of the alliance. In a short span of time, the Ghost King sect had soared into the sky. Everyone felt that Longao's death was a great pity. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. A month had already passed, but the most discussed topic in the 9 prefectures was still Longao causing havoc in the Blood Sea sect and slaughtering the disciples of the 6 major sects. A super genius of a generation had fallen just like that. It was unknown if the heavens were jealous of Longao. Tianju, halfway up an extremely secluded mountain. In a month's time, this originally abandoned mountain range had been opened up. Nearly a few thousand people from the Long and Wang families had all hidden here in fear of the Blood River sect's revenge. According to Long Haosha's plan, as long as the family was fine, his grandson could sit back and relax. He could do whatever he wanted without any scruples. However, what was the result? When the Long family heard about Longao causing havoc in the Blood Sea sect, everyone went completely crazy. They were all furious and prepared to seek revenge from the Blood Sea sect. However, they were all stopped by Long Haosha. Long Haosha's intention was simple. His grandson wanted to avenge the family. If the family rashly sought revenge from the Blood Sea sect and something happened, his grandson would not be able to rest in peace even if he knew about it in the underworld. Longao's peak. Longao was the most dazzling genius of the Long family, so Long Haosha named this peak as Longao's peak. With the fire Qilin guarding it, he believed that he would not have to worry even if the Blood Sea sect came. At the peak of the peak, the cold wind blew on Long Haosha and Wang Yidao's cheeks. The 2 old men seemed to have aged a lot at this moment. They seemed to have experienced a lot of vicissitudes of life because the most dazzling genius of the Long family, Longao, had fallen in just 1 month. Long Haosha felt deeply guilty. If he had spread the news earlier, as long as his grandson knew that the family was fine, he believed that his grandson would not have caused havoc in the Blood Sea sect and would not have fallen. Deeply sighing, Wang Yidao said, "Brother Long, the news from the 5 great sects only said that Aoa fell into the blood pool of the boundless Blood Sea and did not really fall. Maybe a miracle will happen." "Miracle?" Smiling bitterly, Long Haosha said sadly, "As everyone knows, the Blood Sea sect's boundless Blood Sea is very dangerous, especially the blood pool. Anyone who enters will die without exception. Not to mention, according to the legends, Aoa had caused havoc in the Blood Sea sect and slaughtered the 5 great sects. His mind had been devoured by the slaughter and became a tool of slaughter. Brother Wang, you should know better than me what would happen if he fell into the blood pool." Deeply sighing again, Wang Yidao originally wanted to persuade Long Haosha, but the truth was in front of his eyes, so he did not know what to say. "Although I regret it, I am very proud." Proud? Wang Yidao obviously knew what Long Haosha meant by proud. After all, no matter who it was, they would feel proud to have such a grandson. Yes, Aoa broke into the Blood Sea sect alone, killed 10 venerables and 3 supremes, and even fought with an earthly venerable. Although he lost, it was still a glorious defeat. Now, in the 9 continents, there is no one who does not know Aoa. Ha ha ha, how could my grandson be weak? Brother Wang, you're right, as long as Aoa doesn't show up, it doesn't mean that Aoa is dead, so I will wait, I firmly believe that Aoa will come back alive. Nodding his head, Wang Yidao said confidently, Aoa has always brought us surprises. This time will be no exception. Seeming to have thought of something, Wang Yidao said in a serious voice, Brother Long, although the Blood Sea sect was heavily damaged by Aoa, their strength is still there. Therefore, we must not leak the news that we are here. Otherwise, the Blood Sea sect will not let us go. At that time, we will be in big trouble. Yes, you are right. We must not leak the news that we are here. Long Haosha knew very well that although the Fire Chelin was guarding the Longao peak, no one knew when the Fire Chelin would suddenly leave. Last time, if the Fire Chelin did not suddenly leave, things would not have ended up like this. The Long family left the Red Fire town, and Aoa caused havoc in the Blood Sea sect. Because of this, Long Haosha and Wang Yidao decided not to leak the news. Even if they did not consider themselves, they had to consider the whole family. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.